All right. Hello, beautiful people, and Wyatt.
Oh, rough.
Let's do sound checks here. Can everybody hear Andrew? David, you're the man. Can
I
everybody hear me? Can everybody hear Wyatt?
testing one, two. Can you hear my beautiful voice?
All right. David, you're the man. All right, sweet. So it looks like we are good to go. So let's hang out for a couple minutes. The main question that's on my mind is, Wyatt, what are you drinking this fine evening?
I've got a couple things because they're not going to last. I have a kitten mittens, which is I'm going to hold up to the camera. It's a winter ale by Colchin, which is a local brewery, probably the best on the bell curve local brewery up here in the Bellingham, Washington area. Kitten mittens is their high ABV winter ale, and I love it. And my wife did me a solid and bought me a case and hid it in the garage. And today I was like, I wish I had some. And she's like, you do, and pulled out a case of it. So that was a champion move. And the other thing I have is I got Barbados Plantation Rum. This was a wedding gift, and it's been very good. So that'll be how I close out the night.
Yeah, that is one way to close out the night.
I thought so.
You drink it
By the
warm?
time
That's
we're at
the
the
that's the
dregs, I'll
question.
be
So you
ready.
drink it warm.
This one, yeah, you just drink it straight. It's very good.
All right. Well, everybody says they can hear us. We got Trader on. We got David on. We have Mike. Mike. Oh my gosh, this Mike came back to Destiny. Look at this. All right. Yeah. So everyone, welcome to Dice Commando slash Dice of Failure slash Wyatt's here. I would like to introduce my. Obviously, I'm Andrew with you here as always. Welcome to Dice Commando, and would like to introduce former community leader Wyatt Chad Stewart.
Is that what we're going with? Yes. Consider me the former
Yeah,
community leader.
former community leader. Apparently, if you don't
Perfect. Once upon a
if you
time,
don't get that
Dice
joke,
of
then
Failure
don't worry
was
about it.
real.
Um, all right, so our plan tonight is this is going to be an interesting one. So we're going to go through. Well, obviously, we're going to go through the Faltering Allegiances cards, but the reason it's going to be interesting is I've done everything within my power to avoid seeing as many of the cards as possible. And on the flip side, Wyatt is a playtester. So
Whoa. Are we allowed to
Wyatt's.
say that?
What's that?
Am I allowed to say that? Too late. It's been outed
Well, I
publicly.
mean, it's out on public on the Discord. Like anybody who knows how to
It's
read
true.
things on
Yeah.
Discord knows that. So,
Wyatt also just really likes to know what happens behind the scenes.
yeah.
So
Well, there you
it's the
go.
little
But
things.
so we have two very interesting views on um, some of the cards. So,
Absolutely.
or at least the cards we haven't seen so far. So, all right, say we get into this, buddy.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
You got the DB up. You ready to go?
I do. I got everything.
All right, and then just to let everyone know as we go through this, we'll probably take a break every 15 cards or so I can go refill my Bunsen Brewer beer and pee and all that.
I think the cool kids are calling them bio breaks. I'm not one of them.
Well, that's a PC work term. So, all right. That's what we call it in the factory when people need to go take off their bunny suit to go to the bathroom. So, all right. So, first up is the Ninth Sister Brutish Empath. Quite a beast at 12 health. So, this is my first time seeing this one, so stick with me here. 3 for 1 plus 3. Discard resource special blank 1216. Okay. The other Inquisitor we've seen is 13. And then it's the 1 point plot, right? So that works. Okay.
Yep.
And then
That's the
special
made
deal 3
for.
damage to opponent's character unless they discard 1 card from their hand or 2 cards instead if that character has no shields. Okay, so it's keeping in with the shield hate theme that we've seen so far. This doesn't seem great.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think we're living in a world where you could technically, like, just like a digital card game, you can make changes. And I'm curious if this card will need a change to be better. I really like the theme. She's got three sides, so they were going for nine with her, but each three side is conditional. And so the first one's a pay for one, the second one's a modifier, and the last one is the special, which again you can get around if you discard a card. And so she hits like a truck, except it's really hard to hit, and she needs a not hard way to hit. I almost think her three could have been non-pay, and she could have been like 3, pay 3, something about her needed to be able to deliver non-conditional damage, and she doesn't have that. She reminds me a lot of like Savage, who looked kind of cool but just was DOA because of his downsides.
Yeah, yeah. Well, is yeah. I think. I mean, I don't hate them going in cautiously to this set, right? We've seen that for a lot of stuff that it looks like they
No, me
pump the
neither.
brakes, right? So, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, it's just you need a way to deal damage that doesn't require special tricks, and she doesn't have it, and 16's expensive for that restriction.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, again, she does pair with the I mean, she is a part of the Inquisitors thing, which we'll see.
Totally.
Purge Trooper. Oh, elite non-unique. All right, Purge Trooper for 8, 2 melee, 3. What? 2 melee, 3 gun for 1 on a non-unique. Shield,
Yeah.
money, blank blank. Cannot play blue abilities. Sure, sure, sure. Before resolving this die, if this character has an upgrade on it, remove 1 shield from a character. What?
Yeah, I think the Purge Trooper's
This
awesome.
guy's in.
It's
This
really
guy's
strong.
insane.
Yep, and if we compare him to the last one, like he's got 2 damage sides and 1 doesn't cost anything. And if you're up against shields, those are 3 and 4 sides on an 8/11. It's crazy.
Wow. And then okay, so he's 8/11. The whatever sister that we'll see here shortly that we've already seen spoiled is 10/13. So you could play 10/13 almost like a Snokadoke, right, with her special, and like this could swing for 5.
Yep. The other thing about him is he slots really well in any sort of Trandoshan other trooper.
Oh,
Like
that's
you can put
gross.
all the trooper stuff on
That's
him. Yeah, it's
gross.
super gross.
Because everybody was playing. There was a loose Trando deck going around. Oh yeah, that's
But
gross.
Luce doesn't have these sides.
And so he's a
Also, I
trooper.
love that. Yeah, he's a
He can
trooper.
measure for
And
measure.
again, it's whenever you resolve his die, not just die showing damage. So if you want to take that resource, you can still ping a shield in the process.
If he has an upgrade on him. Actually, I like him with red and redeploy guns and measure for measure. And ooh, this guy's dirty. Well,
Yep.
I know what I'm playing
He's
around with.
also I he's also an interesting. You would need a negative plot, but you could potentially bring him into Phasma and do a blue-red Phasma now.
Oh, oh, and then that leaves you 1 point for plots. Okay, well,
Yeah,
we could talk about
it's just
this
be
all
single
day,
die
but
Phasma.
we'll move on.
That's cool.
All right, so this is second sister. So this one we've seen. The sides here, I don't know. I mean, we can talk about her still. I want to. The sides here are not fantastic. Her special's pretty good. I think we were counting on seeing a Inquisitor partner, which we've seen. I don't know. What do you think here?
Um, I like her. I think she's really interesting. At 10/13, she's got good health. Her sides are a little underwhelming, but her special's so good, and it's not like blue can't find its way into special chaining. We were doing the whole like typical second sister, ninth sister with the plot pairing, and it was very interesting. The her special and ninth sister could turn into a triple discard on the opponent, and that seemed very strong. So you're giving up 2 dice, but it was a lot of control. So I think she's not going to be the best, but I think she's a perfectly good 13-point character with a lot of interesting options.
Yeah, I think I agree. I just think we were looking for a partner. And I mean, we haven't seen an Inquisitor partner, but that doesn't mean there's not other partners. So
Yeah, I mean, Ninth Sister's the only one. So Ninth Sister with her in the plot is the only built by it. Hopefully, we'll get more
right, right.
eventually.
Well, I mean, because Inquisitor is not an FFG keyword, so it has to be going forward, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
And
and certainly nothing
so,
standard.
and I know this will probably be somewhat controversial, but like, I'm not in the camp that we should go back and re-subtype characters, especially like for Infinite. Like, I'm not thinking that like the Fifth Brother should get the Inquisitor tag. That's just kind of where I sit. Like, I think it'll throw off too much stuff that's untestable. So,
Yeah, I have some more big picture thoughts on that, but I hear you. I'm happy to chat about that later as we retrospective this whole thing.
all right. Next is Tyrone Malicos. So this is from the video game, right?
Yep. Yeah, as a Fallen Order
So
character.
he's a Night Brother, which is a keyword.
He's also a Jedi, which is
Or a
interesting.
subtype, I mean, sorry. Oh, he is a Jedi. Oh, he's a Jedi.
Yep.
Two melee for one. Discard shield. Okay, he's a pretty typical 11-14.
Yeah, except till you read his first
After
ability.
you activate this character, if there are no dice showing shields in play, spend one resource. Whoa. Okay. I mean, that's actually
Yeah.
that's above curve, right? Because well, 1 for 2 with the condition. I mean, yeah, that's above curve. Lightsaber throw, for example, was card from hand and condition to deal 2 damage. So this is above curve.
Yep.
But okay, let's assume you're paying for that. Power action: spot up to 2 other blue characters to turn that many of an opponent's dice to any side. Spot up to 2 other blue characters to turn that many of an opponent's dice to any side. Okay, so this fits in with the blanks theme. 11-14, you can run him with 2 Purge Troopers. That's kind of. Or actually, Praetorian
So
Guards.
you can do Praetorian Guards. There could be some interesting stuff with witches and zombies. Um, he seems like actually one of the best cards of the set so far. He has a ceiling of 6 damage on a 14-point character with an additional power action that's likely to blank out or otherwise disrupt his opponent. That's nuts to me. Even one die, I think he's incredible. He's got a ceiling of 4 damage for 11 points and 11 health, and he's got an additional power action that's like on par with Ray's power action or better.
And Sam L, to answer your question, yes, up to 2 means you could just do 1. Yes, that is correct.
Yep. Yeah, I think you really want him with 2, but like I've been playing around with him at 11. There's a card we're going to see later on that has to do with blank synergy and dealing damage, and I suspect that if you could get him to slot in well with a Sith and or Inquisitor, you could do work.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is. Alright, done with characters. Peace is a lie, which is true. Alright, 0. Play only if all of your characters in play are blue. Spot a Sith or Inquisitor to remove all shields from all characters. Okay. Yeah. I think that's on curve, right? I mean, it's in a
Yeah,
very specific deck, so
it's a niche. It is better than other shield hate we've seen in that it's across the board, right? It removes every shield everywhere, which is certainly good for synergy with other Inquisitor cards like Ninth Sister, who wants you to have no shield, so it costs more to discard her special. But shield hate hasn't historically been great, and it does have a high requirement, so it's above curve, but in a niche area. And I think a lot of this set is attempting to be good in its own niche.
okay. Siphoning Anger. Who's this? Do we know who this character is?
This is the master from Fallen Order. So she's like spoilers. She's like the good person, but she's sometimes tempted by
I
bad.
see. Okay, well, who isn't? All right. Siphoning Anger. Turn one of your dice to a side showing a blank. Then an opponent has 2 or more dice showing a blank. Gain 1 resource. Okay. I don't know if
Yeah,
this finds room in many decks. I mean, it's not a bad card. I just don't know if it's good enough to find room.
it's fairly reliable in an Inquisitor deck if you've got the plot that can blank and you've got Second Sister blanking. Um, it's cool because it's kind of a send up of anger from the original set, I think it was. And blue villain certainly doesn't get free resource generation easily, but this is still bad from a general deck
Wait,
include.
Anger from original. Didn't that one do damage?
It could be, yeah. It felt like they were playing on that theme, which
Yeah.
I liked.
Okay, fair enough. Unending Hate. Wait, is that the same girl from before? Oh, maybe.
That is the Second Sister without her helmet.
Oh, okay. So, well, there you go. 1. Unending Hate. Spot a Sith or Inquisitor to turn an opponent's die to a side showing a blank. Then deal damage to a character equal to the number of dice in that opponent's. Oh my god, that's crazy good.
This card's insane. Somebody hit me for 5 off of this earlier tonight.
This is
Like
probably
this card is
broken.
Yep, I think it is probably broken. I think currently it's really only great in Inquisitor
Well, sure,
decks.
but
If Palpatine finds a way to weaponize this, it's going to be terrifying. Um, and like Inquisitor decks kind of need this card. I think it's a part of their core identity, but it's very strong.
I think it needs a cap at 1.
Cap at one.
No, I mean at one resource, I
Oh, I
think it
see
needs a
what you mean.
cap.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see up to three being reasonable. It's already powerful, like it's a turn, and combining that with damage is pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, vicious rebuttal. Oh, that guy's got some tats. All right. So for one, you can choose an opponent's die showing damage. That opponent may resolve it for free without removing it from their pool. You may resolve that die. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Because
Yep.
it's that opponent. So that opponent may resolve it for free without removing it from their pool. You may resolve. So if it's a pay side, you still have to pay for it.
Yep.
For one, what do you think on this one?
It, it's a damage race card. If you've got a deck that can successfully damage race and outdo your opponent, this will only speed up that process.
Sure. Okay, this isn't. Yeah, that's interesting. I think this could find a home actually, but not if we're going two white inquisitors with low health. So well. Although that one guy's got
Right.
12, or the one lady, I guess, has 12 health. So
Yeah, so what I do like about this is it's not tied at all to a spot requirement. So this could be good in anything that plays blue.
oh, that's a fair point. All right. So we have seen this plot. The Inquisitorius include only if each character on your team is an inquisitor. Action exhaust this plot to turn an opponent's character die to a side showing a blank. Freaking great. That's a great
It's
one
insane.
point plot.
Yep. Yeah, and if you combo this with their other things, this is difficult. Spoiler alert: these guys have a really nice matchup in a saw because they're constantly making his dice not what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is great. It facilitates. I mean, I didn't know what was coming in for the other uh, Inquisitor or Inquisitors, but this is pretty solid.
I would actually prefer that this plot get unrestricted. Like it's good. I'd like to see it be better. I'd actually like this to be as long as one of your characters is an Inquisitor, and maybe you have to like remove it if you don't have an Inquisitor in play. But to have it with only Inquisitors with only two Inquisitor options feels really limiting, and I'd prefer this plot had more than one deck it could be in.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you could be like exhaust and spot an Inquisitor or something, right?
Something. Yeah, I think there's a way to make it fair, but also provide more options so that this one is the only one that feels truly pre-built with no alternative, and I'd like to see there be multiple lines to do with this one.
Yeah. And then to answer Mike, yes, we did. It was mainly big in trilogy. The question is, didn't we run Sentinel Messenger with Phasma? The answer is yes, because Fisty Fist was a thing and Retribution was good.
Oh yeah.
Um, but it was really only big in trilogy, I think. I think actually Braven. I saw Braven popping around on the chat. I know Braven ran that for a while. At least I seem to remember him running that for a while. All right, moving. Oh, still on blue. All right, 0. Painful lessons. Here's your Night Brothers. Support. After you play the support, spot any number of blue characters to place that much damage on this support. Okay. Move one damage from this support to one of your. Move one damage from the support to one of your blue characters to re-roll a die. To re-roll a die?
Yeah. So this is, I think it's a send up slash complementary opposite to a card from Spark of Hope, which is 3 lessons, and you paid 1. It entered play with 3 resources, and you could exhaust the support to remove a resource, spot a Jedi, and turn an apprentice die to any side. So this is, I think their attempt at it's free, but it's going to hurt you, and it's just a reroll. But that's kind of in line with the theme of the Night Sister decks. So I don't know if it's
But
playable, but I like
isn't
the design
bloodletting just
space
better
it's
than
going
this?
for.
I mean, maybe I'm forgetting. I'm sure bloodletting has some weird restriction, but isn't bloodletting deal 1 damage and turn their die to any side?
That sounds right. And as you can just do that every time.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be your character, whereas you can re-roll their die here. I get that, but like, yeah, I'm not sold on this one.
So yeah, bloodletting cost 1, and it lets you focus your own dice.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it costs 1.
that's the difference. This is free.
All right, all right. Here we go. Here's some.
Oh, here's one other thing. Painful Lessons is an action. So if you wanted, you could load this up in like a witch deck or something, and do it multiple times in a round.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you have a bunch of zombies on the table, maybe you don't care, right? So I guess I can see that. All right, moving on. Inquisitor Lightsaber for 2. What are we on? We're on number 11, all right? So we'll take a break and 4 more cards. Inquisitor Lightsaber for 2 resources. Upgrade weapon 1 melee, 2 melee for 1, plus 3. Shield, resource, and a blank. After this die rolls a blank, if this upgrade is on an Inquisitor, exhaust it to reroll it. Okay, that's cool. Action, discard a card to reroll this die. Any player may use this action. Oh, that's... Okay, that's why, because it's 2. Like, those are huge sides for 2.
Totally.
No redeploy. I think this card's fair.
I think this card is great. We've lost so many 2-drops with rotation, and it's got 3 stick sides. That action feeds the Inquisitor engine because you want them low on cards. And so, like, if this turns into a discard and I get value out of it after they re-roll it, I'm thrilled.
Yeah. And then Mike says, such a good looking card. Can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with this.
Okay, I'm on board with this one. This one, I think, looks pretty good. This is like their helicopter lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we have seen this one, Sith Warblade for 3, 2 melee, 3 melee, plus 4 for 1, shield, resource, and a blank, redeploy. But before you resolve this die, deal 1 damage to attached character. So I think the general consensus on this one is that it's not great. That said, I want to put in context what Wyatt just brought up, actually, is how much stuff we're losing, right? We're losing Dagger Mortis, which is massive for villains,
Yep.
right? Do they have any other redeploys, actually? Any other redeploy blue weapons?
I'm not sure they do right now. I'd have to check, but nothing jumps to mind, which is a bad sign.
I mean, there's the Vibro sword and Electro sword, which are gray. Well, actually, Vibro sword, that's from the first draft kit, so that actually go, or not Vibro sword. Yeah, Vibro cutlass, whatever the hell it is, whatever the one from the first draft
Yep.
that costs 3 and is gray is, but that rotates out.
And like David and Sam are both pointing out, this die is actually excellent on Maul, Spark of Hope Maul. So, like it has use cases. I think you have to have a good health pool to really get the best value out of this. It's also a shame that like if you have 1 health left and you want to resolve this die, you can't.
Right.
But
And it has to be attached character.
yeah. Mike also says maybe you can put this in Raylo because the shields can eat the damage, and I think that's super valid. Raylo has lost a lot of tricks, and this could be very good in that
Yeah,
deck.
the thing with Raylo is they still have Anakin Saber, right? Which I think is
Totally,
better.
but
But
I'm not sure Anakin's is the only 3-drop they want to
well,
run,
yeah,
and they've
that's
lost
true.
Maul's,
Usually they
lost
ran
this.
Dagger,
Dagger,
and I used to run
and
Ezra's too,
Maul's even.
and you lose that.
Yep.
So that's reasonable. I don't know. Raylo really struggles with money though, but
Yeah, but again, redeploy is one of the reasons they would want this then. So, like, I can say Ray would rather have this than a lot of other things near the end game,
yeah.
as someone who loves his Raylo.
All right, Tyrons Lightsaber for 3. This is a beast card. Oh my god. All right,
Yeah.
3, 2, 2 plus 2. It's Anakin's 2 shield. It's better than Anakin's 1 resource and a blank. While this upgrade is on Tyron Malicos as opposed to Tyron somebody else, your copies of it are non-unique. After you play this upgrade, remove all shields from a character. If 3 or more shields are removed this way, deal 1 damage to that character. That's pretty niche, but it's still good. Like, taking 2 shields away, even if you're not dealing with damage, is really good. This card's awesome.
This card is interesting. It feels like in a Terran deck go nuts, but otherwise it feels like a real meta call because the sides are certainly decent, but they're not necessarily awesome at 3 cost. Maybe they are. I don't know.
I don't know. Everybody seems pretty happy for Anakin's, but that does have redeploy though. So
Right, and Anakin's like comes in giving you shields, so this is certainly a counter to Anakin's. So I don't know. I feel really torn on this one. I love that it has something niche, but I'm a little bummed that that niche is only satisfied at three or more. I think if it was like two or more shields, or even if a shield is removed this way, deal a damage, this would have been a reasonable weapon still. I'm not sure it needed the three shield remove to deal the damage as its requirement.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's almost a legendary, like it's reminiscent of Palps and it's reminiscent of some other things, but it's at three to just get this die, you might do it, but that's because you have a limited card pool, not because you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, if there was an event card that just had the second part, which is after you play this upgrade, remove all shields, right? Or play an event, remove all shields from your character. That's Intimidate, right? So,
Yep.
and then if you had one that said if three or more removed, deal one to your character, it'd probably cost one, right?
Yeah, so yeah, this is certainly an event stapled onto a weapon. I just think the event is an event you wouldn't necessarily put in your deck, so it's okay. It's
That's a
just not.
reasonable art. That's actually a reasonable counterpoint. That yeah,
Yeah, like
it
again,
would be a
I think
fair card, but you wouldn't
you'll
include it.
love this whenever it meets it,
Yeah, I think
but you
that's
won't
reasonable.
necessarily want it.
All right, let's move on here. Oh, we're in the reds. All right, well, we'll keep going. We'll take a break here in a little bit. All right, ISB agent 7 for 7. Don't hate that. He's a
Nope.
spy. Focus, discard, Whoa, 7 cost guy with 2 discard sides. All right. Focus, discard, disrupt, resource blank, detect. Before an opponent discards a card, you may force them to discard one of their detected cards instead.
So this is interesting. There's actually been an emergency errata to this, so we should talk
Oh,
about that.
okay.
Um, so this card, as written, the before effect really makes this card broken. Because if I discard to reroll, and I cancel your discard to reroll and substitute a different card for the one you wanted, you'll still discard that card, but you're no longer rerolling anything because it's a replacement effect. And in the rules, replacement effects stop the Y from happening when X is no longer the same. Uh, it's yeah. Anyway, so let me find for you what this has been turned into so that it works as
Sure.
intended.
That's just a gotcha. They can fix that. No problem.
Correct, and they already have. They're already rolling it out. So it's going to be um, detect before an opponent discards a card from hand. If it's not detected, you may force them to switch that card with one of their detected cards. So the idea is that it gives you more control over your discards, not that it lets you turn off discard
Wait,
to
can you read
reroll.
that again? How does that fix it?
So it makes it no longer a replacement effect. It's forcing them to switch a card for a different card as opposed to this language, which is a before action that replaces. So
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to check it out. Okay. Good info though. Um, I don't know. This guy looks like he.
actually, you know what? I think this is actually they've already fixed it. They may have pushed this
Yeah, I was gonna
already.
say since it's a
So,
before. That's okay. Now that looks because I was that's what I was asking is like what you just read sounds the same. So okay.
but yeah, it's a subtle difference, but it fixes the problem. So, which is a bummer because I was just building a deck with two of these guys with balatique, and now I tried it and it's fine, but it's not as strong.
So okay. I mean this guy looks like he's a support. Well, he's not really a support character like a 1013, but I don't know. What do you think?
So he's really good for splashing. 7 for 7 with that die is certainly not bad at all. He's really interesting if you can find a good villain use for detect. I'm not sure I found one I like yet, but man, he's got potential. So I've not written him off. And again, I was trying out the whatever the spy plot, the -1, but every character has to be a spy,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do two of these with the new balatique, and that's at least interesting from a health pool and dice perspective. So I was trying that. I'm not sure it's worth it, but it was interesting to poke around.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see how this guy develops. All right, and then Zek Slade says hoping for Tarkin with detect. Anyone else? Yeah, actually, I mean, I don't know that we're gonna see. Isn't Tarkin still illegal? No, he was legacies. Actually, Tarkin rotates. All right, all right. Number 15 is FN2199. This guy's. I love this card. So 1013
Yep.
for 9 health, which is a little soft. But he has 4 damage sides, one of which is a 0. but it is not an effective blank, ladies and gentlemen. It is a resource of blank. After setup, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal a weapon, and add it to your hand. Right, so it's kind of the Mace Windu thing at the beginning. Of course, doesn't play. Then PA, roll a die on a weapon on this character in your pool and resolve it if able, otherwise remove it. I think this guy's really cool. I've been trying to use him in a lot of decks.
Any success yet?
Yeah, well, so the cast that will come out tomorrow has a couple deck lists with him. But the one that I like the most currently is FN and Infus.
Mm-hmm.
Because you make
That's
you
super
make a
fun.
bunch of money and you don't know who the target is. Because like this FN is really interesting because he's not like the old FN where he needs like a whole bunch of weapons on him. This guy only needs one weapon on him.
Yeah.
So if they want to kill FN, then you load up your other guy. If they want to go for the other guy, then FN's perfectly happy to sit there and chuck sonic detonators at you all day, right? So
Sonic detonators are great on him. Also, the Vibro Sword Shreks with him. It's a really bad time when he can hit you for like 3 twice.
all right, anything else to say on this guy?
Now he's a spiritual successor to himself, but I think he's a good
Yeah,
card.
I think this is very well done. The Zero, I can't praise them enough for the Zero and how brilliant that is, especially on this guy. All right, next is on
Yeah.
another one we've already seen, Exposing Disloyalty. Look at 2 random cards in an opponent's hand. Then, if those cards do not share a color, discard one of them. And I just realized I went on instead of taking a break. So we'll take a break after this card.
Okay.
But then, if those cards do not share a color, discard one of them. So I think this is just a crappy probe. But maybe as a tester, you have more insight into this.
Um, I it's interesting. So like I like the continuation of Red Villain getting hand disrupt options. I am not sure this card necessarily stands out among the others. Like between Face the Enemy and Probe and everything else, I'm not sure this is the best. In the event that we see rainbow decks dominating, this card is very good because it lets you see them and it lets you target things that aren't just events, and that's nice. But if it misses, this is just to like look at 2 cards for a card, and that's not very good, particularly in this new world of detect and lots of ways to look at the hand. So I'm not sure if this actually sees a lot of play, but I haven't written it off yet.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the counter argument to me thinking it's a probe is that it can discard a non-event, and I get that, and you get to
Mhm.
choose. It's kind of weird in a set where they're pushing mono that you're punished for them being
And
mono,
that's what I
right?
was just gonna say. This set is pushing mono. It has a lot of rainbow hate, and this just feels like more rainbow hate, but less effective hate than the other
Right.
cards. So,
Yep. All right. Well, what do we have? We have, man, 19 people listening to us drone on right now. That's crazy. So, thank you,
I
ladies and
know.
gentlemen, and everyone else for joining us. Right now, you're going to take a quick little breaky break. So, I recommend you also go refill whatever you may be drinking, whether it be coffee or something else. Um,
And I'll just keep sitting here answering questions in chat because I don't need to
all
get
right. Well,
up.
fair enough. But I need to go refill my beer, so I will be back. All right, we are back. Hopefully, Mike is back from his beer run. All right. So, oh no, looks like it went all the way. My little streamy thing went all the way back. I need to go fix my slideshow. Give me just a second. All right, so we were on 16, so I only have to hit the right button like 16 times now. It is a great time to be playing the
All
game,
right.
that's for sure. All right, this card. So I do have to admit, I saw this card in one of the discords earlier because it just popped up. So this is Extermination Order. So card number 17 for 3, which immediately seems really bad. But for 3, spot a red trooper to deal 3 indirect damage to an opponent. Then spot a red leader to gain 2 resources. So this is a really
Yep.
cool mechanic in that it's a really cost-effective card, but you have to be set up for it, right?
Yep. I love this card. Phasma loves this
Yep.
card. Anytime you can reliably have a trooper leader, you like this card. It's so good. I like that it is a card with a really nice effect. 3 resources for $1 is well above curve, or at least it's definitely above curve.
Oh yeah.
But it it requires you to have saved up the money, and so I like the opportunity cost and at the same time the
Yep.
refund.
Because you can't just blast 3 indirect out of your hand. You have to plan
Yep.
ahead for it. And I think you nailed it on the head with Phasma. I think we're going to see a lot of Phasma early because we'll jump ahead, but Camino, I think Camino's really strong, and I think a lot of people are going to be abusing it.
Yep.
And I think Phasma is the easiest way to do that, or at least the lowest calorie to do that. I think we're going to see a lot of Phasma early, and I think this just encouraged more Phasma. This card's great. I think.
Yeah.
I
No,
think.
it's just so good. First of all, in chat, David, no, we don't want more damage sides on this new blue trooper. New blue trooper, purge trooper's great on his own. But sorry, back to extermination order. I've been out of the game a little while. I admit I took a lot of the last few months off. But Pyre Kragan, I recall being fun and at least decent, and this continues to be a great option in that deck.
I I love I absolutely love Craig and Pyre. I was thinking about. I'm not going to do it because I want to run new stuff, but I was thinking about running it this weekend because I think it's really well positioned. I can't wait to.
It also
I
crossed
can't
my
wait to
mind.
start tossing some stuff on Saw and making him deal stuff to himself. So,
Oh man, well, spoiler alerts. Okay.
all right. Well,
Okay.
everybody knows Saw at this point. Like we're not
Oh, I
pretending
know,
that
I
people
know.
haven't seen the big
I
spoilers.
am currently very hot on Saw. I think he might be the biggest thing in this set.
Um, all right. Next is Rays. So for 3,
Mhm.
and whenever you see 3 events, I always just like phase out. But for 3, spot a red character to discard an exhausted support or upgrade from play. Then deal indirect damage to its controller equal to half its cost rounded down. Why do villains get all this stuff like this? Like
I hear you.
this seems
I
it's even isn't that even Baze on it? Like should this not have been a hero card?
Yeah, it's Baze. The art is great. I agree with you. I think this probably should have been neutral. Also, I think this could have been rounded up. We no longer have we no longer have fist or other breakpoint things to destroy at 5 outside of, I guess, force. Yeah, that's an ability, not a support, or it's an upgrade. So anyway, on a 5 cost card, this is pay 3, discard, and deal 2 damage. Anywhere else, though, this is going to be pay 3, discard, and deal likely 1 damage. And that feels unexciting to me. I think it could have pushed it a little further because, like, right now I can desperate measures and I can blow up anything and take that much indirect. And now I'm having to pay 3 to destroy something without taking indirect and deal maybe an indirect. It doesn't quite. I'm not saying we have to balance around desperate measures because that card is really broken, but I still think this card could have been a little bit tweaked. But I don't know anything.
The
I'm
counter
just a
the
guy.
counter to the DM thing is that we're pushing a mono set, so not Like otherwise, especially with like again, we already talked about Camino and all that. I've seen a lot of other supports that are cheap in this set that do some pretty crazy stuff. Like otherwise,
Totally.
everybody's playing yellow villain.
But
It's just balatique for years, right?
but Camino's a great example, right? I now have to pay 3 to destroy something they played for free and got to charge up, and I get no indirect off of it. So like that's the thing that's bumming me out about this
Yeah.
card. It's very expensive. Ren could have done it for free.
Yeah, I mean that's true. But on the flip side, DMing a Camino that's got like 8 resources on it also feels broken, right? So, um,
Yeah, totally, totally. I just like I said, this card is expensive. I like that there's hate that's not in yellow. I just don't know if I love this hate in
yeah,
particular.
yeah. I think this is okay. I think the only thing that bugs me is that it's villain. It doesn't seem. But I mean, you know what? Maybe the hero's going to get some stuff. So,
Totally.
all right. Ty. So we've seen this one as well. Ty Striker. So evidently, I'm in the crazy minority that thinks this card's good. So this is a 3 cost support. It has basically the LS hand cannon sides, except it has 1 less indirect and 1 more disrupt. So it's 2 gun plus 3 gun, 2 indirect, 3 for 1 indirect, 2 disrupt and a blank. Support vehicle, wall of text incoming. Action: if an opponent
Yeah.
activated a vehicle during their last turn this round, you may discard another card from your hand to play this card for free. After the upkeep phase begins, discard this support from play unless you discard the top 4 cards of your deck. So just to get the bookkeeping out of the way, this is all one statement. So you do not have to discard 4 cards at the end of each round to keep this alive, and you only have to discard the 4 cards the turn that you use this action. If you do not use this action, you do not have to do it. Right? So you can just play
Yep.
this for
Correct.
3, and it's a perfectly legitimate support. So,
This card is monstrous. It's so good.
yep. Oh,
I know it's been spoiled already, so I just feel like there's less to say. But
yeah,
this
I
is a
mean,
great card.
I know that
Playing
there's
this
a lot
card
of
for
people that
free
think
is
it's not
great.
good. And I respect, like, I understand the argument in that it's like, it's nothing sexy. And yeah, I mean, I guess at this point you do have to be sexy to be good. But, like, I think Wat Tambor, like the Wat Krennic Death Trooper deck, I think loves this. I think Jaws loves this.
Yep.
I think Wat Tambor in anything loves this, right? So,
Yeah, it's super close to what the old handheld cannon, and again, you can play this die for free. Like there's a cost in your deck, but mill's not really a threat, and I would gladly pay 4 cards to play this out for free. Granted, you need to see another vehicle, but it's a fun card. I like
yeah.
it.
I mean, and I had said this before in a cast, and I made a cool card with Tom Cruise to make my point, which I don't have the energy to put up right now. But my point was, if there was a event that said for 0 discard 1 card from hand and 4 from your deck to gain 3 resources, I think people would break the shit out of that card.
Totally.
So I think this one's good. All right, moving on.
Yep.
All right, FN 21. So Trader's Riot, or I guess Finn's Trader, but either way, Trader FN 2199's Riot Baton for 3. 1 melee, 2 melee, disrupt, and a special, and a blank. Special says deal 3 damage to a non-unique character or remove a unique character's character or upgrade die. After attached trooper takes damage, you may exhaust this upgrade to roll this die into your pool and resolve it if able, otherwise remove it. I think this card's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say,
Yeah.
really. Like, it's
This
just good.
card is very likely to deal at least 2 damage a turn or have removal and do damage a turn. Um, I think the only downside to this card is it's made for FN, who gets to go seeking for it, but it costs 3, and so it's hard to play immediately without resources. And like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just think it's difficult to pull this off right away on the new FN. But this card's rad. It's very strong. I think it's also good with Phasma and plenty of other people.
Yeah. Yep. Love it. Loving it. All right, here you go, buddy. Balatique. So,
I mean, I'm okay with this, but Zach's the one that's
oh,
really
okay.
excited.
All right, so Balatique, because Balatique has been taking steroids since Awakenings. He's been hitting the gym.
Yeah, being
He really
swole,
made
swole-atique over
social
here.
distancing work for him, and he's big now. So Balatique is a 12 health yellow character. Character spy leader 1417, so he's in that sweet spot. 3 guns, 4 grenades for 1, 2 shields, a disrupt, and 2 dollar bill, y'all. This
Yup.
guy is freaking great, and I don't even care what his text is, but oh wait. He has detect. Okay, what's he do with detect? After the battlefield's claimed, you may give this character shields equal to the number of detected cards in an opponent's hand. That's actually not necessarily great, because remember, they can discard to reroll. There's no lockouts for them playing
Yep.
it like Jin. But it's a thing that they have to play around, which doesn't suck. I don't know. What do you think on this guy?
In answer to Mike's question, Bala was from Force Awakens, and I think it's crazy that they gave us the sides on this dice that they did. 17, like for Thrawn, you used to get what, 11 health for a 2, and he didn't have any damage sides. And here we are now with a 12 health, 17 point yellow villain that has a built in ability, a conditional way to generate health, uh, a really great top side. The 4 for 1 is still pretty good. Like, it's hard to complain about that side. Shields and the resource is just nuts. I mean, you play this with Reap and you're making so much money. A couple of the deck ideas I've heard thrown around for him is him and Bazine, who we'll talk about in a minute here, as well as, again, I'm tooling around with him and the ISB agents. I think you want more ways than just him to detect if you're serious about his ability, but his ability is really just gravy on a crazy good dice.
Yeah, the 2 resource. I'm blown away at the 2 resource.
He's also a leader, right? So like he's compatible with Admiral off
Oh
the
my
get.
god,
He's
yeah.
compatible with Mega Blasters off the get. So I'm doing him in this or sorry, with this ISB deck. It's just ISB to discard cards and give him health, and then his goal is to get Admiral and Megas and go to town. And so far, like it's not great, but it's also not bad, and that's hilarious to me.
I think that 4 for 1, like it doesn't stand out as super sexy, but I think that 4 for 1 might cause problems. I
Yeah,
need to get
yeah.
myself out of
I don't
infinite
know how
mindset,
often
but
you're Yeah, I don't know how often you're like trying to focus to it, but if you hit it, I think you'll often be down for it.
man. And then to answer, I think what Mike is really asking in the chat, yeah, the 12 health ball he was in Awakenings After Dark. It was a sideline B list movie. All right, moving on to the one you were just referring to. So Bazine. So this one was spoiled as well, I think, by our DDU friends. 10 health, yellow character for 1214. She's a first order informant, character spy, focus, disrupt, 2 shield, resource plus 2 resource, blank. All right, nothing too sexy there in the world of doing stuff. However, you always have to read characters like this. So she has detect. After an
Yep.
opponent plays a detected card, you may deal 1 damage to a character. Well, that doesn't seem to suck. Now, do you know what they have to play
Yeah,
it,
no,
not discard reroll or something? But
correct.
and then
But yeah, it is great. There's disincentive built into it.
so power action, remove this die showing a resource to place or remove up to 2 resources on a non-character card. So we'll circle back to that one, I think, in a couple cards, right? But all right,
I mean, even right now, that's super hot. If you can get her with Palpatine, you can start charging up Force Storm into on turn one. Force Storm could be a 3 damage repeatable special.
oh my god, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so she's good with Force Storm. She's good with that ZX backpack that adds
Oh,
charges. Yeah, yeah. She's good all around town. Even things like Merchant Freighter, if you want to extend the life on it, like there is so much value that she's currently bringing to offer.
she is a 1214 though.
Hmm. Hmm.
She looks like she should be
Uh,
like a 912, right? But I understand why she's not.
yeah,
I
and
don't think she should be because of her
I
ability. But if you looked at her in a vacuum, you'd
totally.
think she'd be like a 912, right?
Well, and it's interesting because she's actually kind of close to one of the Jabbas at least, where like Jabba didn't have any ways to deal damage, but he had a power action or like the ability to go digging for cards. He had the same 1 resource, 2 resource. I think her not having a 2 focus is a bummer, but her 2 shield isn't bad at all. So
Yeah, well, I mean, Convergence job is still a thing, right? So if you don't care about the tech stuff, yeah, you can play
Totally.
him. So,
I think people need to like see what she's capable of before they try and like rebalance her lower because I think her power action is incredibly well suited into a lot of cards
oh, I'm
currently.
not I'm not advocating she be less. I'm just saying if you
Yeah,
look
no,
at
I know.
her,
I'm,
she
I'm
looks like a
seeing
nine
people in
twelve ten
chat. I'm
thirteen,
like,
right? So,
yeah,
I
totally.
mean, her after an opponent plays a detected card, that alone is really good because it's a pseudo Jin ability where they can't play it, right?
Yep.
I mean, they can, but I don't know. That's really neat.
Yeah, the sum of her parts is pretty cool.
So who the hell is this guy? Bing the cybernetic killer. I'm assuming also from the
So
game.
I think it's Fallen Order, but like, dude, I played that game and I couldn't tell you who the hell Bing is.
Braven, you're our know everything in the Star Wars universe guy. Let us know. All right, Bing cybernetic killer.
Like here I am thinking Microsoft search engine's bad. It's gonna hurt me.
All right, so yellow character for 10 health. Here's an 11-13. One indirect, one
Yep.
indirect plus two indirect. So evidently he's a crappy shot. We have disrupt, resource, and a blank. He has detect. Ooh, he's not a spy and he has detect. That's interesting.
It's a bounty hunter.
Before you resolve this die showing damage, you may increase its value by 1 for each detected card in an opponent's hand. Okay, so he's a 2/2 plus 3. After you act. Yeah, it's only damage. So after you activate this character, if an opponent has 2 or more detected cards in their hand, gain 1 action. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So he is not overly strong, and it might make him binder fodder. But if there's a way to get significant amounts of detect into a deck, like even those ISB agents, if you can get two or three things detected and you can get him out with an action, because that before you resolve is a before action, so you could potentially resolve, his one and his plus two. If there's three detected cards, becomes four and five is nine. So there are some ways to get a lot of damage out of him pretty quickly for a relatively cheap
And he
character.
comes in with ambush. Kind of. Kind
Yep,
of.
correct. Yeah, it's a very situational ambush, but man, if you can build the right core around him, I think he's pretty awesome. And like he's really well suited to go with Bala, right? Like they both have detect, they both got ways to get benefit off those detect cards. I think he's at the very least worth experimenting
Yeah,
with.
with Bala, your consistency bores me. I want to swing for the fences. Why? I want 5 detected cards. All right.
But here's the other thing: you could play Bing and Bala with United and get one returned, removed die, and a lot of options.
Fair enough. So David's saying Vibro Sword. It's Missouri Rebels. This die. Yeah, it's his die. All right.
Yeah. So
Haxian Brood Droid. Haxian. All right. Okay, whatever.
also from
Yeah, I
Fallen
mean,
Order,
you can
these
tell with
guys
the
were
art there. All right.
jerks.
Haxian Brood Droid for 11. Oh my god. 12-15 with
Yeah.
11. Whoa, what's going on? Like, who stole hired muscles die? All right. Uh, 2 for 1, plus 3. 2 gun for 1, plus 3. 2 melee for 1, 3 melee for 1. Disrupt. Power action, deal 1 damage to another Haxian Brood Droid to resolve one of this character's character dice for free. Huh. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. These guys are probably a meme, but I think there's a fun meme deck where you build two of these in. You've got your four big dice, you're playing Rendezvous and like other things to cheat out resources, and you do your best.
This is interesting.
I'm convinced I'm convinced they can never be good ever, but they're at least fun.
I mean, they're clearly designed as a 2 wide, right? I mean,
Yep.
okay. This was clearly like this is clearly somebody's pet project card. Like,
Yeah. And like someone's having fun with this, and I think you will have fun too. You just won't be trying to win a tournament.
all right. So moving on to extort cooperation. This is the one we were referring to with Bazine. So this is a downgrade intel. Um,
Wait, okay, 1 second.
okay, no problem.
That's pretty funny. In the event that you ever run a Haxian into another Haxian, you can deal damage to the other player's Haxian. So if you want to do a Rock'em Sock'em Robots game, you could do that with these ones.
That actually does work.
That's fun.
All right.
All right, never gonna happen,
All
but
right.
it's fun.
Now we're extorting cooperation. So this one looks like garbage, but hold on. So for 3, you can place a downgrade on your opponent that has 1 resource for $1, 2 resource for $1, 2 resource for $1, 3 resource for $1, blank blank. When you resolve this die showing a resource, because remember, that'll be on their character, it rolls into your pool, it's your die. When you resolve
Yep.
this die showing a resource, place those resources on this downgrade instead of gaining them. Action: remove a number of resources equal to the point value of attached character from this downgrade and discard it to take control of attached character. So I'll start. There was a bit of discussion about this on the Dice Commando Discord, which I think you may or may not have been a part of. I don't remember.
Could
But
be.
the people were saying that it felt really bad to take control of like a half damage 8-point character. And I think that's the wrong play. I think you actually throw this on their big, and just because
Yep.
you keep, the more it rolls in, the more you resolve it. So I think you throw it on their big, and it's your win con, right? So you knock off the other, you throw it on one guy, you knock off the other character, and then you eventually buy their character off, and you just win. So it's kind of like a crime lord. I think that's the best way to look at this, right?
Yeah, I think that is true. I know that this is a card that during the creation process, and they've talked about in like the new balance documents, they really don't want to enable this card too much. Yes, it can be modified, David. And so right now it feels to me like this is damn near impossible to do anything
Which it
with.
should be. I mean, it should be in the
But
crime lord. Like
right,
it should be close to crime lord, right?
but like even Crime Lord, like I had to meet two win conditions and not, or like two specific conditions. I had to have the dice played, I had to have it rolled, and I had to have money. But Crime Lord didn't cost as much as this card is going to cost. Like this card is going to cost at minimum to capture with no other modifications in the best case scenario across 3 turns. It will need $3 to get played and another $3 to get up to 9, and then you can get a 9-point character if everything's gone right. So like that to me feels difficult. That in 3 turns I'm supposed to be able to hope for a 9-point character. Um, but if you can find ways to break this, if you can like use Bazine and start pumping up extra numbers on her, if you can do like a Bazine Jabba and try and just use Reap and go really really far really fast, there could be a world where you could do something nuts with this and buy out a Ray from a Raylo, and now good
Yeah.
luck. So
I will tell you, this is one of the cards I'm watching very closely for infinite ban list.
oh
This with
totally.
like this card is very scary and infinite, I think. But we'll have to see how it pans out.
I kind of think this card should have had the ability to also throw your resources on it. Maybe that would have just broken it entirely. But
Yeah, I mean, so Mike has a good point here, and then I'm gonna say why he's wrong. No, I'm just kidding, Mike. But he has a good point that you can remember you can resolve damage against your own characters, so you can pop your own character before they take him over. However, you'd have to play smartly around that because remember, if you roll your character in, this die rolls in, and then it's their action. So
yeah, you also can just break downgrade removal if you really need to.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna see this much, but
Yeah, there'll be decks built around this, and that's how it will have to function.
all right, booby trap for 1. Discard a detected card to deal indirect damage equal to its cost to that card's owner. Boom! This card's amazing. In the right deck,
Yep.
obviously, but like this card's great.
Yeah. This card's interesting because I was playing this earlier. Again, I was doing that like balatique with the 2 ISB agents, and even detecting 3 cards a turn. The amount of times I hit 0 cost and 1 cost cards was almost every time. And so this is not great in that. It becomes good at 2 costs, and if it's a 3 cost or more card, it's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, even so, paying 1, so it's card from hand, paying 1 to discard a card from their hand that you know what it is, which
Yep,
is a big
and deal
deal. And
damage.
then
It's
maybe you
great.
get damage out of it.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's true. This card is very good.
bounty averted. Spot man, that guy's fugly. All right, bounty averted. Spot a bounty hunter and discard any number of bounties from an opponent's character. Then remove that number of a character's remove that number of that character's character or upgrade dice. Spot a bounty hunter and just oh, this card's good then, right? Because it's good with Forlom. Yeah, that was it. That was the combo.
Right.
Yeah, it was Forlom.
So this card's clearly excellent in Forlom. This one's interesting. James was the resident bounty hunter lover on our team, and we've gone back and forth on this and the value in this. It's okay. So there was a bounty hunter card, I'm forgetting the name,
Dangerous
but it
escape.
was pay one, discard.
Yep.
Yeah, dangerous escape, discard bounty house to deal damage, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's your finisher. You pack
Yeah,
one of them, it's your finisher. Yeah.
right. So similarly, I think you could pack one of both of these. And if you find Dangerous Escape and you want to deal damage, that's great. If you want to redeem bounties on the last enemy that you're up against to basically time walk them, it also can be good. So I think this card is worth a one of in any bounty hunter deck that's serious about playing
Yeah.
bounties.
I think this card alone is. I mean, Forlom was a thing anyway, and Grievous is still around, and there might be other new toys. Like, I think alone, like. Because removal, especially yellow removal, is getting harder to find. So, I don't know. I think this one will see play. I just don't know in what capacity. All right, Rotten Deal. So this, I'll admit, this was. I know this was a DDU spoiler, and I didn't even read this one because I just like looked at it and I was like, man, whatever. So all right, two resources, Rotten Deal. Force an opponent to look at the top two cards of their deck, then reveal one of them. You may play either of those two cards for free. Then the opponent may play the remaining card for free. That doesn't that seem like way too freaking risky?
Yeah, okay. I love this card, but not because it's likely to be good and because it's in the same vein as Hard Bargain and a lot of these other cards that have existed like this, where you build decks around this concept and it can be really cool. That said, this card is very good paired with a couple things out there like Face the Enemy. Because with Face the
Oh,
Enemy,
that's
I can
fair.
look at all their cards, put back something very strong and something very weak, and then play this on them, and they don't. There's no trick. There's no more mind games. They can't trick me. They can't present me a good thing and see if I'll believe there's a better thing hidden. And so, in that sense, I think this card could be very good in also with Thrawn. So I think anything Thrawn yellow can play this really happily.
Hmm. Yeah, that's yeah, for sure. Actually, that's a really good point. All right, Cuso. Oh,
So
go ahead.
as written by itself, no good. But with combos, I think Rotten Deal could
Yeah,
be
I
awesome.
mean, I know there's people that are on the design team that were always sad that Thrawn never worked. So, um, let's give that let's give that credit there. All right, this is next. So this is the Cuso Pitar. This is Dryden Voss's weapon, I believe. That's his hand.
Yep.
So two resources, plus one, plus two, plus three melee, blank blank. Upgrade weapon. If attached character is yellow, you may resolve this die as if it did not have a modifier. It seems
This thing
pretty
is preposterous.
gross, right?
It's so gross. It's four damage size with a three with nothing special, and you just have to play it in like a yellow villain deck. Gee, if only it was. Oh, it is yellow villain. So what you're telling me is I pay $2 for a fantastic die.
Huh.
Everything about this is great.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's conversation. Like, I don't. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think that this could have existed when Leia Bouche existed because Leia Bouche would take this card and ruin your whole world. But I just think this card is so strong, and I'm looking forward to putting it in everything yellow villain forever.
All right. One Discord event. All right. This is also a lot of text. All right. Spot two characters that share a color and deal one unblockable damage to each of them. So you'd have to spot. They have to be your characters. So spot two characters that share a color and deal one unblockable to each of them to choose up to two of your dice. Then turn each of those dice to sides showing a different symbol than each other. You must pass on your next turn this round. This feels like hot garbage to me.
This is probably one of the worst cards that's ever been made for Destiny, and in that sense, I like that the continuing committee is carrying on a proud tradition of making occasionally just dog shit cards.
Well, at least they're calling it Discord, which is always a hot disaster. So,
Right. I mean, I think that they are showing you what they think about certain Discord conversations here. It's so bad. I think this card, if it was free, would still be bad, but would be reasonable. But the fact that you're charging for this is the most inane cruelty I've ever seen in a gray villain card.
yeah, and Mike's pointing out in the chat, you're forced to pass. So, like, if you just like move to something amazing, they just pass and round over. So
Yeah, it's
what?
it's so bad. Like I have to pay money, I have to hurt myself, I have to do conditional turning of dice to specific sides that aren't the same, and then I have to give them the chance to
And
just stop me.
actually, it's even worse than what Mike says because you have to pass, so they could actually get a shot off. You pass, and then they pass. This
Correct.
card's
It's so
garbage.
bad. Yeah, the worst card that currently I think I've ever seen
And
in
like, it's completely
Destiny.
unplayable in
But
Jin
hey,
Cassian because like you'd want to flip to because
well,
Cassian has
ignoring the fact that
modifiers.
it's villain,
Like,
but
all
yes.
right, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah, we're moving on.
All right, so this guy. Oh, this is 31. Do you need a break or do you want to keep going?
I'm
Okay,
good.
yeah,
Let's just
I
push
agree.
through.
All right, and if you're watching on stream, we'll keep talking and you can come back. So, all right, this is Cal. We've seen Cal. Cal seems really good to me.
Yeah, I previously was of the opinion like he was really difficult to turn on and make work, and I hear that I'm wrong, and I'm ready to be wrong because I love Qui-Gon Jinn, and if Cal can deliver me half of what Qui-Gon Jinn's experience was, I'm in for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how he goes. I have a little bit of a story here in that the cast that's going up tomorrow morning, I had to reshoot the Cal deck because I originally had, like, when Cal was originally spoiled, I was like, why is this guy not a 14-point character? And I get it now, actually, but like when he was originally spoiled, I was like, this guy's a 14-point character all the way.
You
Right?
put
And
him
I was
with
like,
Mace
yeah, I'm
Windu.
putting him with Mace. And I was like, I had the deck ready to go, and then I threw Cal up there in the stream, and I'm like, well, that doesn't work. Pause. Stop recording. So the only thing I can think of right now with him is Wookiee Tribe, which still seems pretty decent.
Yeah, yeah. So if you get him with a Wookiee in the tribe, it seems like it's actually got a lot of legs.
So we'll see how he comes.
So
What was the guy we haven't seen? So we didn't see him because I heard a whole bunch of people bitching about that. His mentor Jaro or whatever. So
Jaro
we didn't
Patel,
see him. So
yeah.
maybe they work together.
So
Um,
it's true. Maybe we'll see that
all
one
right.
day. Sifu Dias, I think, was recently
Yeah,
spoiled.
actually, that's who's up right now. So Sifu Diaz, Saifa Diaz, Foreseer of War. Wasn't Saifa Diaz the one who? Oh no, that was the tragedy of Darth Plagueis or whatever. All right, whatever. All right, Saifa Diaz.
Sifo Dyas is the one that like the Kaminoan said ordered the troops, and like how is he cashing $1 million credits to order an army with no one knowing? I always thought that was just like a poor cover for Count Dooku, but apparently canon says I'm wrong, so I don't know Star Wars.
Oh, all right, whatever. One melee, two melee,
It's a it's a
one
great card.
focus, shield, resource, and a blank. This guy's a 9/12, by the way, which is.
It's a 9/12 with 9 health.
Are you aware of any other blue characters rotating out at 9/12 that were really good? I can think of a few, although they did have 10 health, but
Yeah, Ayla and
yeah.
Yoda. Man.
Well, Yoda was 10/13, but
Oh
right,
sure.
character Jedi. After you activate this character, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's blue, you may draw it. Otherwise, discard it. That is not. Well, it is a may in the look, but it's.
Yeah.
This guy's interesting.
He's he doesn't wow me from like there's nothing flashy about him, but I think he's a whole lot of really efficient value. And if Jay Dengar is out there somewhere, Jay Danger, this card is like the way you try and do 5 die hero Jedi. This is the new
I
5 die
like him
blue
with
hero.
Ahsoka for sure.
Yep. You bring in Ahsoka, you find another die in there, you start playing things like the Force Repulse, and I think he's kind of like Lorsan. He's got a lot of value in a relatively unsuspecting body.
Yeah, and I mean you run mono blue, which you don't care anymore because Kylo's dead. So, yeah. Spoiler alert for episode 9. Oh, all right. So,
Well, Ben Solo, hero of the rebellion, dies. This is stupid.
hero of the rebellion. All right. Next is apt lesson. So Jaro Tapal, he is one of Zeb's race, right? Braven, we're looking at you, buddy.
Yeah, man, I think that's true. I never put two and two together before, but yeah, I think he is a Lombax, whatever those things are called.
All right, apt lesson. Turn one of your blue character dice to any side for one. For one, turn one of your blue character dice to any side. Then you may play a. Dude, I'm sorry, guys, on stream. I don't know what is going on with my headphones clicking. I'm so sorry. Turn one of your blue character dice to any side. Then you may play a move event from your hand or discard pile. Or discard pile is pretty decent in this game, I've heard. Okay. I mean,
This is my favorite hero event.
I
It's just
think it's
spoiled.
pretty good. Um,
Yeah,
Man, can you imagine if Ataru? I realize it's rotating out, but can you imagine if Ataru Strike was a move like it should have been? Like,
yeah, yeah. No, so okay, here's the moves were already strong. Whenever you have a move with its matching form, it gets stronger. And one of the typically biggest conditions that moves have is that it has to be on the right side. So, for example, I've gotten a ton of value out of Draw Closer, which is the Neiman Mastery move that costs 2 and lets you resolve a die at +2. And if you have Neiman Mastery equipped, it doesn't leave the pool. And so the fact that for $3 I can now turn the die to the best side, tutor from discard or my hand immediately into something like Draw Closer is just nuts. This is such a good card. It's such a good blue hero like enabler for
yeah,
combos.
I agree. I think. Well, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that, but what makes it really great with push draw closer is because draw closer is 2. It's one of those that you don't really want early game, so a lot of times you end up chucking it and then
Yep,
you can recycle it back. So
exactly. Yeah, you can now discard to reroll that, which is massive. I don't think Fatal Blow was a move. Maybe
it
no, it
is.
was.
It
Fatal
is.
Blow was a move. So this is also
Oh yeah, you
compatible with
put
Fatal
that. That
Blow.
was what pop
Uh,
up. That's what won Jeff his regional, man.
yeah, Papa
Yeah.
Palpatine. Uh-huh. So yeah, I think that this is so good. I mean, typically we used to see one cost uh focus a character die cards. Like we've seen those all over the place. So this is one cost focus a character die and then play a move immediately. It's so far above the curve of what we had before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not technically above curve because you have to pay for it all, but I completely understand what you're saying.
Yep.
All right, protect the younglings. I really enjoy. This is really good. I don't know if it's good card art, but I really enjoy this card art. Man, I'm so mad that Ahsoka's not in Legion. All right, I'm getting off topic. So for 0, you can protect the younglings. Remove one of your Jedi character dice to give one of your apprentice characters 3 shields. This is a specific caution.
Yep. Yeah, it's niche and good for what it wants to be niche. 0 for giving up a die and 3 shield is not
Yeah.
bad.
I don't know there's much more to say here. I mean, caution found its own strength back in the day, even in a shield hate meta. So now that we're in a non shield hate meta, I think this one's probably right on par since it's a little more specific.
I I think that it's a little bit of a bummer that we don't necessarily have really good Jedi apprentice pairings right now, outside of maybe Anakin Ahsoka. But Anakin's die is typically so inconsistent that maybe you'd rather have it be
Is
three shields.
Cal an apprentice or is he a Jedi?
Cal's a Jedi
Uh,
necessarily for a lot of the way they're taking things. So
okay. Well, that's good to know. All right, Pursuit of Perfection, aka the Andrew Hines biography. All right, so play only if you spot a Jedi. This support enters play exhausted. Actions: exhaust the support, discard it, and remove any number of shields from your characters to resolve that many of your blue dice in any order. Oh, that's interesting.
this is like a weird conditional force speed.
So yeah, it's like a weird all in.
Yeah, exactly. We're all in. Yep.
Huh.
It it's fine. I don't know if I'll ever play it, and I love Blue Hero, but if somebody really wows me with it, I'd consider it.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. All right. BD1. This one's no surprise to anybody. We've already seen this little dude. BD1. He's your equipment for Cal because we lose a lot of equipment. I think the only equipment we don't lose is Jedi armor. I think.
Dude, yeah. He's equipment for Cal. He's got to go in Raylo now because, oh, except, yeah, you can put it in Raylo, you just can't jump it back and forth because they've lost R2 as well as
Yep.
Dark Council.
That's
Like,
exactly.
he's going to be everywhere Blue
Exactly.
Hero
Your
is.
Dark Council. Like I'm so sad Raylo loses Dark Council. I can't even tell you.
Dude, I can't get over it. That sunk in today, and I like almost
Yeah.
shed
I
a
mean,
tear.
I think you run. Well, we're getting again on this topic. I think you run training, Neiman training now, but um,
Yep.
all right. So
But yeah, suffice to say, BD1's going to find his way all over the place in Hero decks.
agreed. All right. I'm not even gonna read him because I think everybody like he's been spoiled for 6 weeks now at this point. So
Yeah. He does good stuff. He gives you a shield or two health. Like, well, all you need to know is his efficient health gain. He's amazing.
All right, Cal Kestis's lightsaber. So, David, I think if you're still on, I know we were chatting in the Discord about why people think this is bad, and I don't understand either. So, for 3, Cal Kestis's lightsaber is a 2 for 1, a +3, a shield and a 2 shield for 1, and a blank. So it's not super amaze balls, but its power action is if it's on Cal, turn it to any side. If this die is showing a non-damage side, you may roll a set-aside copy of this die into your pool. Set that die aside after it is resolved or removed. So there's some odd discussions about this that we've been assured will probably likely be fixed because the power action is not a then. So it's not then if this die is showing a non-damage side. So even if this die is not in your pool, you can still roll in a set-aside die. And I think they've committed to fixing that. But
yeah, it'll require that it be in the pool. Is going to be the errata
yeah,
for this one. But I mean, like I seem to remember the old lightsaber costing 3 and having not super dissimilar sides, at least on the top 3. And like, I can't understand anyone who thinks that a blue hero deck doesn't want 2 dice like this for this price. Like, obviously with Cal, it's fantastic because you have the control over the combo, but it's good. It's just good. Like, typically Blue Hero has shields and is so slow playing anyway, and all you have to do is slow play your way into multiple dice sides and then start fixing them. And if only Blue Hero had abilities to fix their
yeah.
dice.
I mean, I some of the feedback I've heard on this one is that, well, I mean, which is what people say all the freaking time, right? Well, it doesn't have a resource side. I was like, by the time you get this on the table, you are not resolving this die for a resource.
Yeah, and all due respect, if you can get 2 copies of this, you shouldn't get a resource side. Like, imagine how broken this would be if I could autofocus to resource and get
Yeah,
it
but are
back.
you using this for ramp anyway? Like,
Right, but my point is, if it had a resource, this would be completely broken, and even without it, I think it's
yeah, I mean,
borderline.
I
This
find
is
that
cool.
past round 2, certainly past round 3, playing any sort of blue with upgrades, if you're taking resources, it's only because you're out of money and you need to resolve a 3 for 1, right? So, all
Yeah,
right. Next is Force Repulse. For 3,
I'm thrilled.
upgrade ability, 2 indirect, 3 indirect, 2 shields, special blank, Jedi character only. Turn each other character's character dice to sides showing a blank. Then for each die turn, deal 1 damage to its matching character. This card is freaking stupid. It's so good.
I'm It's so good. Not only is it so good, but this card for me is like an example of balance and things being right in the world. I've had to watch for the last year as fantastic moves have come out for like forms that are neutral, and then Blue Villain has gotten Force Storm and Deathfield and all of this stupid, strong, crazy villain stuff. And Hero's been like, I can play the same neutral, strong things you can play. And now there's a clear, distinct reason to get a good Jedi ability that's not just give yourself shields, live longer as you lose. I'm so happy. I'm so happy this exists. I'm also really, really, really pleased that they made this card with a Jedi restriction so that you can't put it in Reylo because Reylo has already been strong. This is so well designed, and I'm very, very excited by this card.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited. I don't inherently like. Everybody knows where I stand on Execute Order 6-6. I don't necessarily like that type of stuff. But it's never proven to be broken because there's the whole play around it, all that. So, oh, I have to approve your message, Mike, because you used pseudo profanity. But there, it's approved. All right, all right,
Yeah, no, I'm so happy about that
all right. So
card.
here, yeah, he's totally a Lasat. So we're moving on to Jar Tapal's lightsaber, which is a freaking phenomenal upgrade. I was bummed about losing Ezra's lightsaber probably more than anything else, and I'm cool now. So for 2, we have 1 melee, 2 melee plus 2 melee. We have a shield, a resource, and a blank. Discard this upgrade from play if you control Cal's lightsaber. While it's on Jaro, it has redeploy. So this ain't got redeploy yet.
I love that they made this and they didn't release Jaro. It's
It's
so
so
funny.
trolly, but that's cool. We'll wait for set 12.
I'm like, if he doesn't show up in set 12, then I think this is going to go down in history as like the Y
Maybe
text.
he's in Wild Horizons.
No.
That would definitely have been way too early on the IP train.
Yeah, I can't say that with confidence because no one's allowed to have confidence, but
No,
no.
he's not in Wild Horizons because Wild Horizons was developed before the game came out.
Yeah, before For Fallen Order was even a twinkle in the
Yeah,
mind's eye. But yeah, this is a great die. Its power action in a Cal's lightsaber is also plenty nice. I think that in a Cal deck, you're going to immediately play one of each, maybe even two, probably two Cal sabers and one of this saber, but I
yeah.
could be
I
wrong.
don't know why you wouldn't play this. Um,
Mostly because you can't put it into play if Cal Kestis is in play, so it gets weirdly locked out if you have two copies of this.
I mean, that's actually that's fair. I don't know. This card's so good for ramp though. I'm just looking at this in Raylo and thinking that like I'm playing this and I'm not playing Cals. I guess that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fair.
All right, we're into the reds. Number 40. Oh my god, we need to speed up. We're not even halfway through. All right, Cassian Andor. So we've seen this guy. Let's do Cassian and Jin together. We'll talk about them together. I guess I have to skip ahead through Galen to get to Jin. This is, I think, Cassian and Jin are the trademark pairing of the set. I would have to say.
Yep,
We saw Intelligence Operation get spoiled, which is like I have to be honest.
minus
I'm
one
really
plot.
worried about Jin and Cassian. Like the whole playing with three cards, the whole game thing. And I realized the argument of, well, when Jin goes down, you're screwed. And it's like, well, how's that different than any other deck? Like, I'm really worried about these guys. They look really good, but I'm totally excited to play them. So,
Yep. Yeah, Cassian is bad on his own. He's good with Jin, and if people can find a home for him in a yellow deck, probably single die Cassian, E Satine, and something else, his potential for resets is going to be very strong.
so you're saying for support resets.
Yeah, you put him as a one die and just let him use support reset, but like he can also support their plot. It's just really conditional on do you have the four intel cards and are they coming up. So I I'm not sure Cassian has I don't think he has legs elite outside of Jin Cassian, but he has great legs in a three wide. Just like resetting things, I like that we have a new way to do that with him, and I like that his die isn't particularly good outside of some other package.
All right, and then we have Galen Urso. So this one is new to me. So Galen Urso, he's a 10-12. Wait, Cassian's a 10-12 also, right? Okay, so Galen also pairs with his daughter. So he's a 10-12 for 10. Focus, focus, disrupt, shield, shield, no money. Blank, detect. After an opponent chooses to discard a detected card, you may gain one resource. After an opponent chooses to discard, okay, so if you do the Jin power action, you don't get the money. Action, defeat this
Right,
character.
but Jin, since Jin locks out cards, so they can only be discarded, they
Right.
can't be played.
And he detects two, so then there's two detected. So again, you're playing with three cards in your hand, two of which, if you discard, you give them a money. Huh. Um, mm,
So I'm gonna pull back the curtain really quick. When playtesting, we don't see the final version of every card. We see cards in the process, and so we provide feedback and try them out. This card is not the last version that I saw, and his ability is simultaneously stronger, weaker, and different. And I've had to like today accept who he is and not what he was.
okay. And then defeat him to exhaust a character or support. Well, that's even worse than K2. But I guess it can save the game, maybe.
Yeah,
So, all right.
maybe he's cool in concept and theme, but I don't think he has enough to be playable outside of maybe Galen Jin, and even then Jin
Yeah,
Cassian's better.
I was just going to say, I think Jin's is, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. We're skipping through Jin. So catch up with us to card 43, which is Medic. So for one, and this has ambush, because sure it does.
Yep.
Spot any number of red characters to heal that much damage from a character. So it's a mono field medic with ambush. Sure.
I think there's a world where you can play like four Hoth troopers and something else, and this will
Four
be
Hoth
stupid.
troopers. Oh, you're killing me. Um, are there? I mean, this is crazy. This is. Well, I mean, not that the Wookiees need more healing, but you could play three wide Kashyyyk warrior tribe and just keep healing and then lose slower.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Rebel Schemes. Oh, this is cool. That's cool art. I like that one. Or I should say, cool picture, whatever. One for Rebel Schemes. Activate a character you control with Detect. Then, instead of triggering their Detect, reveal an opponent's hand and choose a card from it. That card remains revealed. Oh my god! That card remains revealed until the end of the action phase, aka it is detected. So, for one, you get to look at their hand and choose which card becomes detected. That seems like a pretty fair trade to me.
Yep, particularly if you combine this with the plot where you can play detected cards. So like Jin locks it out, it has to either be discarded or you can play it as their opponent.
Wow.
It's good, but it costs one. So and Jin Cassian has like no way to get resources ahead. So it's interesting that I think in its strongest use case it really presses your resources, but it's a good card.
All right, 45. So we'll take a slight break after this because, I mean, I'm out. Wyatt's got everything at hand because he was smarter than me. But his stuff doesn't need refrigerated. All right, so one secret mission. Cassian, kill Jin's father. All right, draw cards equal to the number of detected cards in an opponent's hand. Then, if you drew one or more cards, what? Well, why the hell would you play it then? All right, but then if you drew one or more cards, set aside a card from your hand face down. For the rest of the game, you may play that card as if it were in your hand. Huh. So it's like a counter detect safety valve.
Yeah, I mean it's draw combined with like basically get a situational 6 card hand for the rest of the game.
Huh. Okay, well, fair enough.
It
All
okay.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take bio breaks. We will be back very, very shortly. Hope y'all, well, it looks like we just lost Mike, but hopefully the rest of y'all will stick with us.
If you go on the break, are we gonna go lose our place again?
No, I fixed that.
Nice. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Wyatt's ready to go. He did a couple shots in the break, and we're good to go. All right. Next card up is Cassian's Blaster. For 3. Wait, why did I think this was a 2-drop? Oh, interesting. For 3, it is a 1 A 2, a +3 for 1, a disrupt, a resource, and a blank. This one has a redeploy. Action, resolve this die showing ranged damage, increasing its value by 1. If it's on Cassian, this is unblockable. Yeah, I mean, it seems like this should be 3. For some reason in my head it was a 2 drop, though, but
Yeah. It's good, except it's hard to pay for this stuff with them. So, I don't know. I think this is actually stronger in like a Cassian Satine deck than it is in Jin Cassian. It's really hard to pay for stuff in Jin Cassian and not be out of money.
So that 3 for 1 is a blank because with the action you can't resolve it. And
Yep.
I mean, maybe in a pinch you'll shoot for 5, but
Yeah, the top two sides are very
having
good.
the redeploy, like, it backfills Jin's, which I know we'll get to Jin's blaster like right now, but Jin's pistol in from ATG was an amazing staple in Red Hero decks, and we did need, yeah. Steven just said Red Hero needed this, and yes, it does. All right, so now is Jin Urso's blaster version 2.
Yep.
3 costs: 1 gun, 2 gun, 3 for 1, non modified, 2 indirects, a resource, and a blank. Red character only. After you play this upgrade, choose and do 1 or choose 2 if this upgrade is on Jin Urso. Do note that they happen in order, top down. So if you choose 2, you can roll it into your pool and resolve one of your dice. Roll it into your pool, resolve one of your dice, activate a character. So you cannot activate the character and then roll the die into your pool. I don't know why. Well, you can't anyway. But point is, you can't activate a character and resolve a dice. So you have to roll it in and then resolve this die, or resolve one of your other die and activate a character. So that's basically the way it works. Did I
Yep.
miss anything there?
I don't think so. It's good. It's certainly great on Jin, and it's probably good in other
Yeah, I
places.
think. I mean, it doesn't have redeploy, which burns, but it has 4 freaking damage sides, and I think it's fair.
Yeah.
All right, Master of Disguise. This one, didn't I spoil this one?
It's weird. I think you did. I think you did.
Um, it's funny, the revamped art on this one actually didn't really get that much better. It just must be the browns. Um, but the 2, I don't know, 2 indirect is weird on this because, like, why, right? It's almost like a blue ability,
It's like,
right?
yeah, spies are sneaky and they drop grenades. Yeah, you're right. It's a lot like a blue ability given over to
Right.
Hero Red. Um, its its die is very strong, but it almost needs to be playing against a big. Like this is like on par with like a possessed or something. It's kind of like a hero possessed, um, but it needs the right person for this to have any value. So I'm not convinced this card is worth the inclusion in spy decks because it's expensive and they have a trouble making money, but it sure is cool when it's
Yeah.
viable.
I mean, we've seen Reversal do things, and this. So do keep in mind that when it comes in, you can choose one of your own characters to help give subtypes, like for run to safety or whatever it may be, if that's your thing. But more, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, more often than not, you're going to be choosing your opponent's character. But I don't know what that's necessarily going to get you because we only have 30 card decks, and like you're not going to pack stuff hoping to run into a trooper or something, right? So
exactly.
yeah. So I don't know. This one's okay. Um, I mean, I think on the surface this actually looks broken, but I don't think functionally this sees much play.
Correct. Yeah, it has enough limitations, particularly that spy decks have trouble again generating revenue. So,
All right. Next is
hey,
Babu Frick.
hey.
He's my oldest friend. So this is a he's got 9. This guy should have like 6 health. He's like pretty tiny. But all right. So for 9 for 10,
Yeah, this guy is stronger than baby
well,
Anakin. What's up
yeah.
with that?
Yeah. 10-12. I'm actually really worried about this guy. So for 10-12 you get 9 health. His die looks not great. At 1 indirect, 1 direct, 2 shield, a disrupt, a money, and a blank. This character cannot be dealt melee or ranged from vehicle dice. I'm a little surprised that like droids aren't on there too. But then maybe we would have taken away some people's favorite toys. I don't know. Power action.
He's strong enough.
Discard a card from your hand. to either turn a droid die to any side or play a droid from any discard pile, decreasing its cost by 1. And just to answer the question, it has been ruled that you can play the card that you discarded. So if you have a Dr. Bones or
Yep.
Mr. Bones in your hand, you chuck Mr. Bones and play him for 1 less. So it's a weird Afra.
So, actually, I think it's pretty filthy. You take one die Cassian, one die Babu, double die Satine, and you just start build a bear workshopping Mr. Bones and then resetting him with Cassian, and it could be very
That's
fun.
cool. Why? I mean, doesn't this guy just work with R2 and 3PO? Like, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, but like, why?
Does they make money?
He does so. His die is bad, and he generates a resource, but in only the niche of playing droids. And I'm not sure outside of Mr. Bones, Hero has a lot of. We'll see. I'm certainly welcome to be wrong. He's cool. He has a lot of upsides. He has a lot of protections, but his die is kind of poo poo,
I
and
mean,
so
that's yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm worried about this guy. I don't have an answer of why I don't like this guy. I'm really worried about this guy. He seems like one of those
I'll
cards
I'll
that
tell you,
flies under the
I'm
radar.
super worried about one interaction with this guy that we'll get
Okay,
to later.
fair enough. All right, this is Grease. Also spoiled relatively early on. Um, I really like. So his dice crap. Like it's fine. I mean, actually, that's not true. The two resource
It's
size is
good.
okay.
His die is good.
So he's an 8/11 for 8. His piloting. After you activate him, choose a number. Reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card's cost is the same as the chosen number, turn up to 2 of your dice to any side. Otherwise, force an opponent to remove 1 of your dice. So he's like if Mother Talzin bet it all on red, right? Like
Yeah, he's a hero, Mother Talzin. If you build a deck of all one costs, I think he's super cool.
yeah, I think somebody's going to come up. I like a card like this existing. I think Mother Talzin was fantastic design space. I like a card like this existing. That's my piece.
Yep. Yeah, he's also an engineer, and so again, we're gonna come back to why I'm nervous about that. But
Oh,
he's cool.
okay. That's good. Good knowledge to bank. All right. So Rebel Partisan also spoiled very early on. 8 for 8. One indirect, two indirect, discard, disrupt, resource blank. So same die as the Jeddah Partisan, except there's one less on top. So on the surface, this guy looks like garbage. Character Partisan. After the last card in your hand is discarded, discard the top card of your deck to deal one indirect to an opponent. Also feels like garbage. Until the plotty plot was spoiled. Um, I mean, we're like,
I'm gonna be real with you. I think that this guy looks like garbage. You take off his mask, it looks like garbage. You give him a plot, and he still is actually garbage.
I don't
But
know,
that's
but now you
okay.
can run a whole bunch of health with Saw, so I think that doesn't suck. But I know there's a lot of other ways to get a whole bunch of health with Saw, so.
Yep.
All right, speaking of the man himself, the big bad from the set, this is Saw for 12, so he's a 1715. I'm not dyslexic, 1715. That's a 12, 3 indirect, 4 indirect, 4 indirect, 5 for 1, 3 disrupt and a blank. After this die is rolled or turned during the action phase, which character's elite, deal 1 indie to yourself. This guy, I think, is like all the crazy deck builders are out there trying to figure out how to make this boy work right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and be careful because I think we've solved him, and or at least solved him enough to have a lot of fun on Saturday at the tournament. I love him. He's probably actually broken. I think he's in the top three best cards of this set. Um, it's no secret he's incredible with Fighting Pit. His dice is just flat better than Vader's. Vader had what 2-2-2-3-4-1, and he's got 3-4-4-5-3. So as long as you don't hit blank, he's guaranteed to deal 3 minimum damage on a Fighting Pit roll, or with a Z7 like backpack roll. He is the best numerical character die to ever exist in Destiny, and there are ways around his
Yep.
downsides. He's
Yeah,
incredible.
I think so. Here, my hot take is I think a Saw deck wins Saturday with the big release tournament.
I'm
I
hoping.
think some crazy person. I mean, I think there's going to be some crazy deck that comes out with a Saw. I think Saw wins, and then I think Saw is fixed within 30 days, probably, or changed somehow. I shouldn't say fixed because I don't know what the broken is, but I think that Saw sees something within 30 days of today. But we'll see.
I yeah, he is very very scary.
All right, next is change of plan. So do know only 2 yellow characters for that set. So, or 2 yellow hero characters to say.
GL Hero. Yep. Again, I've got some retrospective thoughts about that, but
Well, I mean, you can't just throw characters out there that stink, right? So, all right, change of
totally.
plans for 0. Play only if all your characters in play are yellow. Resolve one of your yellow support dice as if it were showing a different symbol. Because we needed a 3 resource on Entourage. Screw you guys. Oh my goodness. No, what I mean, what?
I think it's niche, but it's
Yeah, I
really
think
good.
this is. I think it serves a function in a lot of those support decks. So, all right, explode.
Yep.
This is great. Explosive cocktail. For 1, resolve one of your dice showing
Yep.
indirect damage to remove a die. For 1, resolve a die that you were going to anyway to remove a die. Seems pretty decent.
So this does a lot. Like in a Saw deck, this is a no-brainer. But even as we just saw with like Babu Frick and the other Grease, they both got these one male or one indirect sides, which on the surface feel shitty. But if you can now start resolving their die and also removing, suddenly they're really good. I think this is a well-balanced, fun hero
And
removal
and,
option
and who's
that
going to
makes a lot of
remove your
other
1
things better.
indirect? Like, right?
Absolutely. Yep. It's great. You can telegraph this card exists, and they still won't try and remove your indirect.
Hey, 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 hey. All right.
Hey, hey. I'm very
Spend
nervous
any
about this
number of
card.
resources, then spot an engineer to resolve one of your support dice, increasing its value. This card's broken. Any card like this with no cap is
Yep.
broken. I'll tell you this right now. I hadn't seen this card.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't not have a cap on this, guys. We've literally
Correct.
learned this multiple times. This needs a cap of 5 or
Yeah.
something.
So returning to Babu and Grease, they're both engineers. This thing, it doesn't cost anything. You just need to have it, and you just need a pile of money, and you can do whatever you want.
This is an easy fix. You just cap it.
Yep. I agree. It I'd rather it not get preemptively broken. I'd really like or like preemptively fixed. I'd like to see somebody break it to say they did it and to show us why. But I'm very afraid of the potential of this card.
All right, reckless ambush. This one had been spoiled. For 0. Spot a scoundrel partisan to deal 2 indirect damage to yourself and remove a non-character die. I think it's fair on every level, but I don't think it's. I don't think. It, I think it's fair, but I don't
I'm
think
not
it
even
sees play.
convinced it's
Right?
fair.
Well, that's the problem. Fair
Yeah.
doesn't see play. Right? Like,
I also wouldn't even say it's fair. Like first of all, I have a spot requirement. Then I have to deal 2 indirect to myself. So at best, if I'm not removing a 3 or larger, I'm not coming out ahead in this exchange, unless I'm maybe redirecting the damage to somebody else. And finally, it doesn't work on non-character dice, like, or it's only non-character dice. It's got. If you'd pick 2 of these 3 restrictions, I'd be okay with this card. But all 3 of these restrictions is a bridge
yeah.
too
I
far.
mean, the spotting thing is not really a restriction, though, right? But I get you.
No, but it is. That's my point. If this was spot and deal 2 indirect to remove a die, sure. Like you can come out ahead. It's kind of like a best defense, but it only works on one thing, and you still take 2 damage. But like again, these 3 limitations of play are too much, in my opinion.
All right, scrounging parts. J Danger, did you miss anything?
Oh, Jay Danger, you missed all the
Just
blue hero
56
stuff.
cards,
Like
bro.
rewind.
All right, so scrounging parts. Spot any number of engineers to gain that many resources. Reveal your hand. Thank freaking God, Shadowcaster's gone.
Yeah, yeah. This card would have been monstrous in Shadowcaster. It's still gonna be scary in Infinite. Infinite Shadowcaster decks will play this
Yeah,
immediately.
well, I'm doing my best to keep my own bias out of that one. Um, all
Yeah.
right, Stinger Mantis. So this one was pseudo spoiled in the or the Holocron, the rules, whatever. So Stinger Mantis, it is a support vehicle. 2 focus for 1, which feels like garbage. 2 discard, 1 shield, 2 shield, 2 resources. That's right, folks. No blanky blanks. But the 2 focus for 1's kind of there. After you exhaust the support, you may discard a card from your hand to draw a card. Power action, exhaust the support to force an opponent to lose 1 resource or 2 resources instead if you have fewer characters in play than that opponent. After you exhaust the support, you may discard a card from your hand to draw a card. Okay. Exhaust the support to force an opponent to lose 1 resource or 2 resources if you have fewer. Huh.
This card is pretty cool. I was initially cold on it, and I've
Huh.
warmed a lot. So my actually favorite use case for this is something like BDL, get the big Luke and Satine, have Satine die, and now you're sitting on a constant double disrupt with card cycling for Luke. But just in general, I think this card is good.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see.
It's got good sides with a guaranteed pseudo disrupt or double disrupt
And if
always
you're
turned
playing
on.
this in BDL, you'd rather do this than drop a 3-cost saber?
I don't know. It's kind of like, is there an and? I mean, the ability to disrupt two on a stick means you get the battlefield and you ruin their round. And the idea that you can do that with reliability is pretty bonkers. And it can also ramp you. It's a good card.
All right. Ooh, here's a gun.
It's a lot like a hero Dooku's Solar Sailor.
All right, so here's a gun for 2, the DL18. 2 for 1, 2 for 1, 3 for 1. Disrupt, resource, blank. That doesn't seem very good. There's got to be a catch here. You may resolve the range sides of this die as if they were a modifier with no resource cost. Oh, that's kind of neat.
Can I get Kvechi
Uh
for a
huh.
second?
That's why you're here, buddy.
Okay, cool. DL18 is this kind of, it's fair, right? You pay two and you get these sides that aren't super great, but like if you they're modifiers. This is Blue Hero's version of this. The blue villain side again was a two-cost blade that was 1, 2, 2, 3, where they're modifiers, but if it's on a yellow character, you can do it for free without being a modifier. How in the hell are those comparable abilities? This is an active detractor with 3 damage sides, and the villain version is 4 damage sides, and it's all
Oh,
fire.
but this says ambush and redeploy, right? Oh, wait, it doesn't.
Oh wait, no. This is shit.
All right. Oh my God, this card. This card. Or not Utini. Whatever the Ewok. I can't think of it right now. Whatever the Ewok chant is.
Yub
Yeah.
nub.
Da 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 da.
Yub nub nub
All
yub
right.
nub.
Saw's rocket launcher. 2 for +2 for 1, +3, +4, +5, blank blank. This die cannot modify other dice. PA, resolve this die against yourself as it were not showing a modifier. Then deal indirect to an opponent equal to the number of damage characters you have. Spot +1. They should have just called it Wicket's rocket launcher. Like that's the best use of this, right? I mean, not actually with Wicket, like Ewok. Anyway, um, that's the only use out of this currently in standard. This card's giving me infinite heart palpitations. Um,
I currently have this slotted into my Saturday deck, but I'm not sure if it's gonna stay
yeah,
there.
this card. I don't know. I hope it's not a problem, but this card has potential problem written all over it for infinite for
So I
infinite.
do know that this card came about because Renewed Hope is really wanting to make cards that don't push the power curve. Like Chewie's Blaster ended up being so good it was ubiquitous and in everything. And so they wanted to make stuff that was good for the character it was intended without being too much. And this card is certainly synergistic with Saw, but I think it's too punishing for Saw. And I'm not sure like they nailed the balance, but I appreciate the tightrope they were walking, and I'm interested to see if this has a good use case.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I'm worried about this with cards like Awakenings or Sudden Impact or whatever. But that 2 cost is a
Yeah.
lot for. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all understand why it's only 2. Like it's probably unplayable if it's not. But that 5, those are big sides. So all right. Oh,
Yeah.
we are into the gray. We are into the gray cards. So, oh my god, we still have 30. Oh, we're in Hero Gray, so we still have 30 cards to go. Alright, so spot 2 characters that share a color to remove a die, then gain 1 resource. Oh, okay, so that's a thing that we've seen before. I'm guessing we'll see again,
Yep.
where it's a low cost card, but you have to have the initial oomph to get it. Um,
Yep. I like
this
it.
this is a pretty good
Again, I
this is a
like this
pretty good
idea that you
card.
have to have money in the
Pretty good
bank.
card.
Yep.
Intelligence operation. This card is neutral gray. Neutral gray, which means the villains can use it. But it's really for Cassian Jin in that it can get readied with Cassian, but it's still a -1 plot for spies. So this is really good, I think.
So again, Bala with 2 ISBs, Jin, Galen, Jin, and Cassian. I'm sure there's some other options in there on the villain side. It's it's just cool if you're committed to spies and committed to detect. There's no reason you shouldn't be bringing this.
Yeah. And then Kevin Pooley just said it's also referring to the rocket launcher, also really good with reversal.
Sure, it's great for your opponent. I don't know
Doesn't
if you want
reversal
it
say
for
you
that
have to
reason.
resolve an opponent's die? Maybe not.
I think it's just remove a die and deal that damage to an opponent. But again, you're not going to play like you're not paying $5 to
Oh, it is
deal
remove a
5
dial, then
damage. That's a bad
deal
exchange.
damage to any character. Oh, okay. Okay, fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
fair enough.
it's great. It's great with like force throw in Infinite. I would gladly throw that at people in Infinite.
Yeah, well, yeah, force throw is the other combo. You're giving away all the secrets, man. Why? Don't
But
don't
but
feed the trolls, man.
but again, I wouldn't call that
Don't feed the
good.
trolls.
I would say that's like that's Timmy in a well. Let him have fun and splash.
Well, I mean Yoda in Infinite, and there's a lot of pairings in Infinite. Anyway,
Sure, I'm just look. I've lost tournaments with that mindset. That's all I'm saying.
fair enough. All right, and ooh, Marin. So we're not out of the characters. Marin, Night Sister Survivor, 11-14 for 9. That feels bad. One gun, two
Gimme.
gun, one foot. Oh, that's Mother Talzin's die. Parallel die, ladies and gentlemen. You may include a blue villain curses in your deck. Okay. After setup, add a zombie. Okay. Oh, so that's going to help you trigger some of your spot multiple blue stuff from in the
Uh-huh.
Wayback
Uh-huh.
Machine back when
Uh-huh.
we were in single digits. Power action: exhaust an opponent's character with a curse attached to it, then roll that character's character and whoa. Exhaust an opponent's character with a curse attached to it, then roll that character's character and upgrade dice into their pool. Whoa, you get to use their character for no cost?
No, you see, you're not using them. You're forcing activation. That's really all this is. You're forcing activation of their
Oh,
character.
into their. Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
so the
Into their pool.
correct,
Into their pool.
which isn't necessarily super strong, but certainly has some tricks up its sleeve, especially with some of the curses that exist, like possession. If you want to get them out, so you can start trying to possess them, and they're staying back. Um, it's a little more responsive. I want to talk really quickly about Marin at single die. For 11 points, you get a dice, 9 health, a diceless character that gives you another 5 health. So you end up with a total of 14 health for 11 points, as well as the ability to break deck building because you can put this with hero. So a thing I'm not playing Saturday because I'm not sure it's like great, but I really, really, really am looking forward to playing is her and Ray. I think the ability to give shields and start playing around with Hex, where Ray can turn villain dice to the blank side and Hex can remove them and like just curse people, has a lot of really interesting potential.
Yeah, good combo.
She's also good with Terran. Like I think Marin is just a super super fun character that I'm really excited exists and that she's got a lot of fun potential in many different combinations.
All right, Force Affinity. For one, spot any number of Apprentice, Sith, or Jedi characters to draw that many cards. Spot a Jedi to gain one resource. Spot a Sith to deal one damage. So no, those are not ifs or thens. You do all of them.
Yep.
But there's no Jedi Sith, right? There's just
No, there's no
okay.
Jedi Sith.
But there are
This
villain
card does
Jedi's.
there's villain Jedi's. There's Terran is the new one, and there's also Ponkrell. So we've got two of those that exist. So there are ways to potentially put those with a Sith. There's not great pairings. Really, this is a super interesting hero blue card where you'll be able to essentially for free draw two or more cards in a two wide, and that alone is attractive. So I think this is a very nice card from like a round one. Go delving into your deck for fun things.
All right, Form Drills. This was spoiled by the Artificery crew. Choose two different set aside move events, reveal them, and shuffle them into your deck. So wait, how does that? Do you just because you have this card, you can bring two set aside moves?
Yeah. Interestingly, I think you can bring a lot more
Well,
than
yeah, yeah.
two.
So
Like I
it
think
should
you
enable
can.
you to bring any
You
number of
basically
moves, right?
But yeah, you can bring any number of moves. And so at the very least this is fun. I think you probably find this in a home again with like Neiman and just Neiman. But you could ostensibly play three forms and then this and then just pack whatever the most powerful combo is. The other thing that makes this cool is like I think I'm lifting this from somebody's opinion earlier this week that I read, but Fallen Avalanche is like a card that costs 3 that you never want early, but if you can put it into your deck later when you know you'll want it, it gets better. So this is just it's a fair card. It might not be worth playing in a lot of things, but it's a way to tailor your deck. And if you're playing like a hero deck that has health and shields and you think will last for multiple rounds, it gives you a lot of control over your late
Right.
game.
So Kevin Pooley saying it's clarified to be only 2 cards that you can bring. Okay. So, but still, if you bring 2 copies of this, you can bring effective 4 to your
4,
deck.
right? So like
Right.
yeah.
Well, an
Yeah,
effective
and
4 to your deck.
I like
Right.
this card. I like this card because it's super balanced. Like you get a cool effect, but it costs a card, so it's a card slot and it's free, but it will give you later options. It's nice and thematic, whether or not it's good.
All right. Next is Sarlacc Sweep. This is a move. Okay, Sicho. Okay, so remove one of your character or upgrade dice showing damage to deal that damage equal to half its value rounded up to 2 characters. Oh, Darth Maul, baby. Except Darth Maul does it straight up. All right.
Yup.
Return this card to your hand if that character has an. Return this card to your hand if that character has an upgrade titled Shicho Mastery on it. Wow, that's the first time we've seen something like that.
Yep.
Recycling. Hmm.
Yeah, and like it's super good with Sicho, right? Sicho's got three indirect sides, so this becomes deal 2 indirect to 2 people and return it to your hand.
Well, not too indirect, too damn it, too direct. Yeah.
Correct. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Deal 2 direct to 2 different people and return it to your hand. So, like, I already think, and we'll get there, I think I like the training and mastery for Shicho quite a bit. And this card is just more icing on that cake.
Fascinating. All right, Will of the Force. Somebody's getting knighted with a red lightsaber. That doesn't seem good.
Sorry. One quick last thing about the Sarlacc. It's really good with Cal because Cal can get his dice up to 3 sides, and then you can use it for him as well.
And Cal is permanently boosted or only when he's resolving?
I That's an interesting question that I don't
Because if
remember the
it's
answer
if
to, and
it's
I don't
only
care to
when
go look.
resolving, which I think it is, then it doesn't work. Anyway, well,
Yeah, check and correct. All right, Will of
all
the
right. Will
Force.
of the Force resolve. So for one, resolve one of your dice showing a shield without removing it from your pool. Then resolve that die again. Whoa. Spot a card with the word master. Spot a card with the word mastery in its title to gain a resource. Uh, that seems really good.
This card is really good for giving health to Blue Hero. And this card with Master Luke and Infinite is crazy good.
Resolve one of your dice.
This is like a reason to play Old Man Luke and Infinite.
Well, but it still only gives shields though. You can't resolve Luca's melee because it's the
Why?
because it's showing. Remember, it's the Ataru strike. You can resolve Luke's. So if Luke has a shield out, you can resolve it showing melee. But in this case, you're resolving a die showing a shield, right? Because Ataru strike.
Okay, I could be wrong.
No,
I
you
still
you,
think
you,
I'll
you are
play
wrong
this.
on this one. I'm positive because Ataru strike lets you resolve
Okay.
his shield die as if it were showing, or sorry, Ataru strike says resolve a die showing melee, and you can resolve Luke's shield
Mhm.
because of Luke showing melee. So it's the inverse here.
That's fair.
It's the inverse here. So anyway, but that's an easy mistake. The Atari Strike ruling we've had like 19,000 discussions on. So
Yeah, it's a lot of health for an affordable package.
um,
It's also nice that as long as you're playing any mastery at all,
right. I
it's
mean
free.
that's the main thing. That's why I thought it was good is because like who's not playing Neiman, right? At a minimum, right? So
Yeah.
all right, prescient leap. All right, big jump. So one support move. God, there's a lot of text on these. All right, after you resolve 2 or more blue dice in the same action, you may place 1 resource on this card. Okay, blue hero never modifies stuff, so that seems pretty good. Action: discard the support to discard an opponent's upgrade or downgrade with a cost less than or equal to the number of resources on this support. Okay, so it's a charge up DM ish thing.
Yep, I thought this was really bad, and then somebody played it, and I was like, "This is dumb." And then they had like no charge on it, and there was like a 0 cost support like Camino, and I was like, "Oh, it's good because you can kill Camino." And then it was pointed out that this only discards upgrades or downgrades, and it's back to being bad for me again, and I think it's stupid.
Oh, can't get rid of a support.
Yep. So like, if it could hit zero cost supports, I'd be all over this as an option for blue room like mono blue removal. As it stands, this is like interesting to tackle Neiman or other 2 cost things, but it won't let you do it on the turns where you really want to. It'll let you do it
Yeah,
later.
yeah, I
So
agree. And this
I feel
this
like
should be zero.
this is a
This should be
lot of
free.
work. Yep.
All right, here we go, baby. Shicho Mastery.
Let's actually do training first. Are you
Yeah,
cool
it's
with that?
next. Yeah. So Shicho training. Oh man, that little dude died. Grievous murdered this dude. All right. So for
Yep.
two indirect, special blank, blue character only. It's a training, so we all know what it's going to do. Turn a die showing damage to a side not showing damage. You may discard this upgrade to play a card titled Shicho from your hand or discard pile on attached character for free. And now you want to go to mastery?
Yep.
Shicho Mastery, 3/3/3 indirect, 2 discard, pretty decent. Special, blue character only, limit 1 form. After you play this upgrade, spend 2 resources to discard a weapon from play. And then the special here is turn a die showing damage to side not showing damage, and turn a die to a side showing melee damage. Go ahead, sir.
This card went through so many design iterations, and I think it landed in a really good place. The mastery is such an interesting balancing point between our lower cost and higher cost masteries. Like you can kind of scoff at 3 indirect, but 3 indirects is incredibly consistent. 2 discard is almost never seen on a 3 cost,
Or blue
so
hero.
that is also or blue hero, so that's also interesting and attractive. And then the special, I think it's not as good as a blanket Neiman special, but it still is almost as good as a Neiman special while giving you other really compelling sides that Neiman does not provide. And I also think the training's super consistent. Like you can't tell me that having 50% 2 damage a turn or the ability to turn damage off of damage isn't a good turn 1 investment. Like I will like we've lost a lot of 2 drops. I would gladly put this down as a 2 drop on turn 1 and just enjoy it. And then at some point if I can also ditch an upgrade off of somebody and get the mastery out, I'll do that too.
Yeah, so
And so, like somebody in chat saying this should be 4 cost. That's a challenge because a 4 cost Shicho Mastery needs to be a lot stronger than this die. This is bad at 4 cost. And I'll just like again behind the curtain a little bit in playtesting. I saw a bunch of versions of this that were trying to figure out what's the right cost to what's the right sides, and I think they really landed in a nice sweet spot on this one. It is not incredibly desirable or unattractive at 3. It's a really balanced mix.
but to counterpoint that, I think Shicho training at 2 is well above curve.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know about these. Yeah, right.
It's better than Suresu, but Suresu was the worst
Oh no, in
mastery
terms of
that
I
we've
don't know about
seen.
them, Mike. I think they're OP. But
But when we talk about the mean OP, the other challenge there is that right now you are putting this in decks where they're directly competing with Neiman's and with what's the forecast?
Shien.
The Xian. And so like that's what makes this so interesting is like it's right now a compelling question of like what masteries do you want to build around? I also think that Bane could potentially love this. Like James was a big fan of building a Bane deck that started with 3 resources, and being able to play this for 1 and instantly pay the 2 to remove
I
somebody else's
think I
upgrade
think
was
you're
really
missing that
cool.
this can special chain though. Like turn
Sure, this can special chain, but the problem is it can't special chain as well as Neiman, and Neiman can do that at 2. Like it again, it is less attractive than its 2 cost version and its 4 cost cousin, but at the same time it has its own advantages at 3 cost that make it potentially the right choice. But it's not a clear answer. They did a really good job of not making this a clear cut
yeah.
right
I mean,
choice.
yeah, we'll see. I think I mean, but don't forget like Shicho training you can play it's not a form. You can play Shicho training with Neiman.
No, I'm with you, and I think Shicho training should be in like every blue deck that doesn't know what upgrades
Yeah.
to run. I will gladly play that all the
This
ding dong
card's
day.
crazy. This card's crazy good. All right. We're into the reds. So For 2, planned operations. Spot a red character, heal 2 damage from a character. Spot 2 red characters to turn a die to any side. Spot 3 red characters to resolve a die, increasing its value by 1. Okay, so just note that those are not exclusive. So you don't have to choose one.
Correct.
Right? You can keep going. If you have 1, 2, and 3, you can just keep going down the train, baby. Okay. That's a lot happening for 2
I like
in the right deck.
it's a lot happening. Yeah, I like this idea. I hope we see some cousins to this card that are like similar. Spot 3 wides to do varying effects.
All right. Oh man, this one. Camino cloning facility. Support location. After you resolve a red die, place a resource on the support. Action. If this has 11 or more resources on it, discard it and spend 2 resources to add a set-aside non-unique trooper character that matches your team's affiliation to your team. I also... Did I screw up? Is the Naboo guard a guard and not a trooper? Or is he a trooper guard? I have to look that up because I might have screwed up tomorrow's cast.
He is a trooper that gains Guardian.
No, but isn't he a guard?
If...
Ooh, I might have screwed up.
No.
Naboo Palace Guard. Oh, thank God he's a guard trooper. Oh, thank God. Okay, we're good. We're good. Because you guys know how much I love being wrong on casts because the internet is very forgiving.
Yeah. So being able to drop a Naboo into a deck is really cool.
Yeah.
You can also drop in a Wookiee warrior. There's great ways to get lots of health off of this. It's interesting in Jyn Cassian. It's also really good in Phasma. If you're playing mono red, you should probably be running this.
I think there's no doubt. There's even some arguments to be. I mean, like if you're running megas, even if you're not mono, there's still arguments to be learning this.
Oh yeah.
Bringing back an IDT, that's Imperial Death Trooper, right? Bringing back an Imperial Death Trooper is
crazy.
Yeah, I said it way earlier, but for those of us joining in, I think there's a lot of decks this weekend that will be trying to take advantage of this. I think Phasma's the easiest one.
Yep. I watched a Phasma deck win an otherwise unwinnable Saw matchup earlier tonight because first the normal trooper went down, then Phasma went down, but they already had the IDT, and that was the difference.
All right. Next is Tactical Advantage. For 0, after an opponent takes an action, if you have claimed the battlefield this round, you may set the support aside to gain 1 action that you can take even if you would otherwise be forced to decline. I love this card. This is freaking brilliant design space. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. A couple immediate things that jumped out to me. So again, I was tooling around with those agents and balatique, and being able to claim so that his get shields is turned on, and get shields off of detected cards, and then still get your last dice resolution that you wanted to do is cool. Being able to snap resolve and claim any battlefield you want to make sure you're going first next turn, and then still get 1 more action. It's so strong.
Yeah, and you have to put it in. You have to use an action to put it in. This card's balanced. It's just, this is a good design card.
Yep.
All right. Oh no, they didn't seriously make a card of my least favorite thing in all of Star Wars, did they?
Oh, you don't like gravity,
huh? Oh my god. I don't like gravity? Oh my god. Don't get me started on carpet bombers in space being the worst freaking design ever.
Hey, it looked really pretty. Oh my god.
Carpet bombers in space. No, guys, it was magnets. Yeah, you know what would happen if it was magnets? They would push away from each other and go back in and blow up the ship they just left, but that's okay. All right.
I like that we also have Rose Tico's sister's weird upper falling half in this card, but whatever.
Oh. Well, booty shot. All right. Yeah. Proton bombs. Gandalf's got to get his jolly somehow, right? All right. Proton bombs for 2 indirect, 2 indirect, 3 indirect, 4 indirect, 2 disrupt. That is an upgrade mod. That is hey, mods are coming back, baby. Modify vehicle support. After this die is resolved, place 1 damage on it. Discard this upgrade from play if it has 2 or more damage on it. Okay.
Yep, it's cool. There's a card coming up that will, in fact, next, that will make this a little bit better. I actually wish this set had gotten just a little bit more vehicle support because piloting was the last set to come out. but I like that there's at least something as opposed to nothing here. It's got a balance to it. There's ways around the balance, and you can no longer build that stupid freaking Shadowcaster, so we're fine.
This actually seems overpowered. That 4 and the 2 disrupt.
If you can reliably get to that 4, it's crazy.
This actually seems too strong to me. Um,
But it involves playing a vehicle deck with vehicle mods in a still DM world.
yeah, but DM will rotate and this won't. So, and vehicles aren't going away. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see. All right. R3 Astromech for 0. Oh god, 0 cost mods are always bad, but that's again me shuddering on Shadowcaster. All right. Modify vehicle support. Action. Exhaust this upgrade. Spend 1 resource to add or remove a token on the. Oh, well, there you go. To add or remove a token on the. And it says token, which is important because damage and resources tend to
Yep.
be our pseudo generic tokens. So now you can do both.
I actually love this card from a design space. It makes Tora Doza and her ship immediately more interesting, and that was something that could have used a little love in the last set.
That's a good point. I do have to give shout out for the spoiler text, so you guys know I fall into the camp of over explaining versus under explaining. They said damage tokens are always added or removed in increments of 1 damage, meaning that if at some point you consolidate and you throw a 3 on there, there's no argument in the game over whether the 3 should be removed, right? So, all right. Burned. All right, we're in yellow. Oh, we're getting there. All right, we're at 76. So before this downgrade, we're at R15. You're good to go, Wyatt. Keep
Oh,
plowing
I'm
through.
good to go.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Before this downgrade enters play, actually, we may have to take a break soon because I want to finish tonight with my pumpkin beer. So, all right. Before this downgrade enters play, any player may spend 2 resources to discard it instead. Discard all titles attached to attached character. Okay.
All right. I have no idea who else gave feedback. This is one of the few cards where I'm very happy because the original version of this in playtesting I really didn't like, and I provided feedback. And I'm not sure if they listened to me or other people like me, but the end result was much closer to what I thought was balanced, and I'm very pleased with this card.
Huh. I mean, yeah, it's a clear
It's
shot at Admiral.
Yep, and I think Admiral needed some sort
Oh,
of
hell
bullet,
yeah.
but I think it's a fair bullet, and there's counterplay to it, and so I like what it represents quite a
Huh.
lot.
Okay. Another downgrade. Downgrade Intel. Oh, Cassian can only bring events, right?
No, you can bring
Or
4
Intel
intel cards.
cards.
I like this card a lot.
All right, that's important. So, Tailed. 1. After attached character is activated, forces controller to choose one of attached character's character dice. Then you may spot an exhausted character or discard this downgrade to turn that die to any side. So before we get into discussion here, I've seen character's character a lot in these cards. Didn't it used to just say character's die? Like, wasn't that the FFG way?
I think so. Yeah, I think this is unnecessary text, but I don't know.
Yeah.
This card will have to see play for anyone to care, and I'm not sure anyone other than me wants to play it yet.
So after attached character is activated, forces controller to choose one of its character dice, and you may spot an exhausted character or discard to turn that die on any side. That's garbage. I mean,
So
right? For one, I don't know.
I really like this card thematically. Um, I like a neutral downgrade. I like that it gives you this ability to potentially harass somebody across multiple rounds, but you have to have the right initiative and forethought. But at the same time, it's not super strong. Like it's better than a lot of the Ewok traps that came out without being incredible. It's also tricky because your opponent gets to choose one of their character dice. So they can always choose the one, like if they blank, you have to bring it to not a blank. But if they don't blank, they pick the worst one and you blank it, right? So it's got value, is really what I'm saying. It's not necessarily great value, but it has ongoing value. I also am a little upset that it's the closest we've gotten to an actual Bodhi, the pilot card, and it's just his freaking face.
All right, demand a tribute. Oh, Voss. People are drooling right now. So for 2, you spot a scoundrel to discard a random card from opponent's hand for each color among. Oh, yeah, Rainbow Hate. I don't think you play this even in a Rainbow world. I mean,
Nope. It's expensive. It has a cap of 3 discard, but Mill's dead, so why are you playing this? And it's attached to Scoundrel. It's unfortunately, I think, TOA.
faltering. Dude, is that Cassian?
Yeah, but like he doesn't look so
Man,
good.
faltering allegiances. All right. Oh, the title card from the set. Deal 1 damage to a blue character. Deal 1 damage to a red character. Deal 1 damage to a yellow character. Yeah. F you, Rainbow. Like they're not even being secret about it. So like straight up, just do some damage, baby.
So what I love about this card is it's not a May, and if you want to go swinging and you have a color that they don't have, you're gonna hate yourself. This is a digs two graves
I,
style card, but against Rainbow it's very good. Against two white it's really good. I think this card is
yeah,
pretty
I don't
fun.
know that you play this, but I think it's a good card.
I'm playing it this
Okay,
Saturday, I'll
well,
tell you
I
that.
mean, well, if you're playing Saw, then yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
All right, forewarned. All right, so I think I spoiled this one also. Event Intel, remove a die showing value less than the cost of a detected card in an opponent's hand. This card is freaking phenomenal, assuming, of course, that you're playing it. Otherwise, you're not. So that makes the card freaking phenomenal.
Yep.
All right, selling Intel. All right, we're at 81. We have 9 cards left to go, and I need both a bio break and a refill. I'll be back.
Every time you close the stream, you lose 5% of your audience or
Yeah,
10% of your
well,
audience.
you know, they'll all stick around because we only have 9 left to go, and
That's fair. That's
we're
fair.
going
They'll
to be
hang
right
out.
back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we are back. Thank you all for your patience. And Wyatt was correct. We lost three. Actually, it was greater than 5%. We lost 3. It's almost closing in on like 7%. All right. Next up is selling Intel. 0 cost. Choose a detected card in an opponent's hand to gain 1 resource or 2 resources instead if the chosen card's cost is 3 or more. Chosen card is undetected. Okay. Well, Jin Cassian can make some money there. Of course, this is only a 1 of, right? So
I think he can bring multiple copies. I don't think he's restricted to
I think it
one.
says 4
Um,
different. Let me pull him up. I hope the DB is working. Yes, it is. Perfect. You can include up
yeah,
to
this is
4 different
also.
Intel cards in your deck.
Oh, okay. This is also a very good balatique card because you're already seeing lots of things and you already want money, and it's just it builds upon the synergy there.
All right. Kevin Pulley, yes. Kevin and Zach, yes, it was quick. I ran downstairs as quietly as I could because the baby is asleep. All right, next is Trash to Treasure. For one, you can play a weapon upgrade or vehicle support from an opponent's discard pile, decreasing its cost by one for each yellow character or scavenger you can spot. So that's really good, but it's really conditional on them
It's
having what you want.
super conditional, but super cool. Uh, yeah, I think Jawas love the hell out of this card, and I think anything that's playing three or more yellow characters in the deck wants to try this. It's a great one
Yeah,
of.
exactly. I think you play this as a one of in the right deck. But it's weapon.
Yeah,
It's
the
weapon
fact that
upgrade,
you.
so it's not any upgrade. But
All right, you want to talk quick hotness really
yeah,
quick? If you are playing a deck that plays Convergence, this is a card you want to bring. Because anything that you can Convergence destroy, you can bring back for cheap.
well, I hear Ewoks are a thing.
Right?
All right. Okay, extremist campaign. This is the spice, baby. Let's run two partisans, and it brings those extra 6 cards that those partisans need. I don't know. Do you have anything here? I mean, I think
Yeah,
everybody's seen and drooled over
it's
this one
it's
already.
cool. I think people feel like this is an anti-mill, but I think mill was dead before this ever entered the equation. Um, I think that you'll only ever like two of those cards, but the idea of getting active cruelty and hero is worth playing this in its entirety.
But didn't you hear active cruelty is bad? It's a bad card.
Oh, I refuse to engage with potentially bad
Yeah,
opinions. I'd spend all day
yeah.
doing that.
Evidently, one resource for one damage is a really bad value. Yeah.
Man,
AOE and indirect's a thing. If you
yeah.
stop playing before indirect, don't say that active cruelty is a bad card. I'm sorry. Moving on. In
Shots
No,
potentially
shots
fired.
definitely fired. Incendiary stockpile. You can resolve your yelling dice showing resources or disrupt as melee damage against the support, placing damage on this card equal to the damage dealt. Action discard the support to deal indirect to an opponent equal to the amount of damage on it. This is an Andrew card. This is an Andrew freaking card like Improvised Explosive. I love this. Do you know how many times bounty hunters get disrupt
Uh,
on the freaking table?
Totally. It's really good for bounty hunters, and this card also says you didn't like the fact that Saw had one non-damage side. We can fix that for you.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Saw it's 3 disrupt.
Yeah, I like this card quite a lot.
This card is
It's
phenomenal.
it's a necessary one of in a Saw deck.
I'm playing 2 of this in my bounty hunters deck, and it might replace improvised explosive actually.
Yeah, it's a great way to redeem value and slides you don't like.
Um,
It's also a very attractive like disrupt and or destruction target over time.
so I don't think you play this with. I don't know. I mean, the Kragan Pirates might actually be more playable now because of this card.
Hmm.
Wow, this card's hot.
Yep, I like this card just a ton.
Wow, this is cool. Okay. Oh, here's Bodhi. Oh, this is unique.
It's super unique.
Sliced Terminal. Before an opponent's card would be resolved after being played, you may discard the support from play to discard that card instead. Then that opponent may play a card from hand for free. Huh. There's a lot going on here, and I don't just mean the
Okay,
card because there's a whole play around tactics thing of it too. This is a
yeah.
chess match. Go ahead.
So this card, in and of itself, is a avoid worst case scenario card. So, like obviously Fist isn't a thing, but if you're like, I don't want them to play megas, assuming they don't have two megas in the hand, you can stop them. The downside is whatever you stop turns into a free card, right? So like I think this is really bad in a world where you could play Fist and Mega and Entourage in the same deck. You can't do that anymore. Um, this card gets significantly better if you're playing a heavy detect deck where you're detecting 3 cards in a turn. And this card is also very, very good if you're playing it with or not Tarkin, with Thrawn, because you can see and know so much about their hand. And so there are use cases where this card's going to be insane, and there's going to be Hail Marys where you could be wrong, and so it will never get like ubiquitously good, but it's a really interesting card.
Yeah, your point about Thrawn is valid. And I again restate, I know there's people on the design team who are always sad that Thrawn wasn't more of a thing, which is actually,
Yep.
like, I believe very strongly why Bib got his point reduction. This is interesting. I like the chess match on this card. We're going to have to see how this comes out because I think somebody, like, Dryden's still a thing too, right?
No,
Oh, he's
my
ATG.
boy Dryden and Qui-Gon
He is
have
ATG.
both
That's
rotated.
right.
Giant pour one out for my favorite boys.
All right, Vibro Sword. Don't we have a Vibro Sword?
This is a new one. It's
It's using the
scary.
same title?
It is using the same title.
I don't know how I feel about that. All right, 4, Vibro
I think I'm ultimately fine with it 4 years in.
Vibro Sword. 0, 1, 2, plus 3 for 1. Discard and a blank. Redeploy. All right, you have my attention. Decrease the cost of the. I mean, better for 4. But, oh, decrease the cost of the separated by 1 if you play it on a yellow character. It's still better for 3. Before you resolve this die, increase its value by 1. If attached character is unique, and increase its value by 1 if attached character is. Whoa.
Dude, this thing is one of like if this was a legendary, it'd be one of the chase legendaries of the set.
Whoa. And it's not unique like Darksaber.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is on easily on par with Darksaber for value while being playable at 3 and simultaneously it rewards 2 wide elite decks or like unique character decks. It's really cool. Somebody ran Bala and FN with this against me, and FN just made me want to cry.
This is really, really good.
Yep. Again, if this was a set that we were buying packs of, we would absolutely be chasing the hell out of this
But,
card.
I mean, doesn't this even, I know I've got Steven on stream and, Yellow Blue Hero is his thing. Like, don't you even play this in a Satine? Yeah, you play this in
Yep.
Satine Mace, you play this in Satine BDL Luke, or BD Luke.
I mean, Mace is gone, yeah, but
No, no, no,
literally
no.
anything.
Mace is
I
from
love.
Convergence.
Oh my God, are you
Yeah,
serious? Oh, I was wrong. Oh, I'm so glad to be wrong.
that's why you could play him and
Yeah.
Cal.
Oh, okay. I thought you just couldn't do that because of the rotate. Yeah, no, dude, I think this card is insane, and I love that it doesn't require point values. It just requires uniqueness and eliteness. And again, we've been asking for ways to reward, uh, middles, and this does in like a significant way,
This
especially if yellow is like the core competency of the
this is
deck.
better than Darksaber.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Although
It's also non-unique.
I mean,
You can play
I know
two.
the counter argument to that will be that it has a blank and no focus, but I still think it's better than Darksaber.
Right. It also has, again, as long as you're playing a unique elite character, it's got a 2, 3, 4, and 5 side. It's not screwing around in the slightest.
Woof. All right, restraining bolt. All right, so somebody was telling me that this is like an auto include. So let's see. 1, restraining bolt. Modify opponent's droid character or support. Attached character or support's dice cannot be turned. Modify opponent's droid character or support. The attached character or support's dice cannot be turned. That doesn't seem like an auto include to me.
No, in the event that somebody is a cruel bastard and attempts to make R2 and 3PO like good again, this will become a way to grief them, but it'll be a bad slot to bring for that purpose, and therefore this card is probably DOA.
Even if R2, I mean, they'd have to like rule the meta to include it. Because even if it is, because
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Kevin just said exactly what I was thinking, right? It's a silver bullet. Like, yeah, I don't know, because the problem with this one being a silver, right? So it's even worse as a silver bullet, right? Because like you can mind extraction as a silver bullet to palp, meaning you'd include one slot for it. But this one, if droids are a thing, you have to include two, right?
Yep. Yeah. Again, it's not. I like that this exists. I like what they were trying to do with it. I think it's just too niche to be worthwhile.
I guess let's. I'm still on it. I don't think it's punishing enough. Like I guess that's what I'm saying is like it's a silver bullet, but it's not a
Right,
good
yeah.
enough
If
one.
if it was
Like
if it was zero cost, or if it did more, but where it is, like it's not crippling enough. I mean, like compared to Vigilance, right? Vigilance was a hell of a lot more value in a one cost package. Vigilance let you stop all dice turning for your opponent for a whole round.
I almost feel like I should say like we all know what it's doing. Like just go for 3PO. Like say attached character supports die cannot be resolved uh out of action or I don't know something like that, right? Like
Yeah, I would just make this like droid's abilities no longer work. I would make this like a very niche, whatever that palpate card was, but for droids.
oh yeah, you could why not make it a mind extraction for droids? Just blank their ability. Oh yeah,
Correct.
100%.
Yep. But it didn't do that, so it's not enough. Just play Mind Extraction and
Yeah,
keep playing Blue
in
Villain, I
set
guess.
12 we'll see restraining bolt 2. All right, sneaky diversion. All right, it's got Bazine on it. So sneaky diversion. Choose a detected card to switch it with the top card of its owner's deck, and then the card from the deck inherits the effect from detect. Okay, so it's still detected. So you just make it a new card detected. I don't know that that's worth the card from your hand.
So I think the only reason to play this is if you're really trying to make that new hard bargain card work, because this lets you get 50% of the hidden information for free, and that's enough to reliably make the choice.
Okay, that's fair, but that's still
So
pretty
if you
combo-y, Wyatt. Like,
no,
yeah,
totally. But like I said, the only time I want to play this is if I'm trying to do something like that, and I'm looking for a way to make that consistent. Like if you're a Timmy, this is a part of the
yeah.
combo. It doesn't make it good, but it makes it part of
Yeah.
the combo.
And then Ryan Weldon just said, "Some of us are working all night and loving this stream." Thanks, man. What are you doing, man? We'll move on while he types because there's a delay. But all right, this card I did see this card also because it was getting tossed around like crazy in the Discord, so I couldn't avoid it. Pirate Slug Thrower. So on the surface, this card looks like garbage. 4 cost for holdout blaster sides. 1 2 for 1 +2 shield resource and a blank, and it has redeploy. This upgrade cannot be discarded from play. Before you play this,
The big thing there is it can't be
yeah,
overwritten.
that is, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So you led right into it, right? So keep in mind that to overwrite, that does require discarding from play. But before you play this upgrade, choose a color. Reduce the cost of this upgrade by the number of characters you can spot of the chosen color. This seems like a pretty decent one drop to me.
Yes, I think it's a great one drop. I think it's a very like I wouldn't call it a good two drop. It's a playable true drop, but like Holdout had more going for it than this did. It's interesting because like some of the strongest ways to play this out is to try and do that with like Jawas could play this for free, but Jawas typically aren't damage decks. Or if you have something that plays 3 or 4 cards of the same color, you can start playing this for free or for really cheap. I'm still not sure it makes the deck slots because it's only really valuable if you get it early enough to play it at this value. But it's at the very least not bad. I don't think it's good, but it's not bad. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the no overwrite thing is actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I don't know that this card needed to be a card. Um,
Right, like we could have just gotten Hold Up Blaster. We're almost to the retrospective thoughts I have.
yeah, I mean that's fair. Oh, we are at 89. That's true. All right, last card. Wow, last card. Stolen Datapad. Spy or scoundrel only. Before one of your dice would be removed by an opponent, discard this upgrade to have that die not be removed. Instead. Ooh, instead, that means it's a replacement effect. Is that relevant? I don't know. It's a question. I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, I think this card's pretty straightforward. It is preventing law or like removal specifically on not even specifically. It's just one of your dice. So this is a way to protect one instance of removal, and I like it.
Yeah.
You got to have Spire Scoundrel, but it's not a bad thing. Like we used to play all sorts of counter cards that were like this. Maybe it never sees play, and maybe it does in the right deck.
Yeah, I mean it's a
If
Destiny
if
version of a
Saw was a
counterspell, right?
Scoundrel, you'd play this. Yeah. If Saw was a Scoundrel and you really want to protect this card, you'd play this. You might do this with Jin to try and protect
Oh,
her as
the
well.
new wait, new Saw is not a scoundrel.
Nope, he's a
Oh,
partisan
it's a
and a trooper,
partisan.
or a leader and a trooper. That's what it is. Not a partisan, leader and a trooper.
Oh, that's interesting. All right,
Yep.
well that's it. So um, we'll move into the Wyatt
See,
retrospective. I definitely should have taken a break and gotten a
okay.
new beer now. No, I'm just kidding. But in the meantime,
Sorry.
while Wyatt is retrospecting, so you can create things. Start those questions coming in, guys, or what you want us to talk about. But go ahead, Wyatt. I cede the
Absolutely.
floor.
Okay. So I want to preface what's about to sound a lot like criticism with nothing but love and praise for the Renewed Hope group for doing the Herculean effort that is making new content, for the fantastic work they've done, the art, the feedback. I think that like for any criticism you could lob at them, there are far more praises to say. So this is not to tear them down. This is to constructively talk about what I think is good for the continued future of their efforts in this game that we love.
Keep in mind, of
Is
course,
that a
that
fair?
Wyatt was a playtester, so he gets some of that as well.
And let's not like overemphasize that. Like I gave feedback that doesn't make me like I was not an ideal playtester by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a guy with opinions who happen to be
Okay,
in the
well
right place.
that's fair. I
But
mean, I
anyway,
wasn't involved, so I don't know. Right? That's fair.
sure. Like I read things and gave feedback. I don't know if I playtested super strongly. I already said that in the chat. Um, there are a couple things as I look at this set that has me worried and makes me think that it would be worth subpivoting from both what previously Renewed Hope has said and what I have said in the past. And specifically, I'd like to talk about the raw number of cards. So there are 90 cards that were released today. And this is triggering rotation within the Renewed Hope standard. To be clear, if you play on the kitchen table and don't like the idea of rotation, it doesn't affect you. Do whatever you want. But for people that are going to play in the Renewed Hope tournaments and for things that are playing on this ARH standard, we triggered rotation today. We lost 540 something cards from the legacy block. That was the 2-player kit, the draft kit, and 3 full sets. The average first set of a block typically comes with a new starters as well as a draft and comes in around 180 cards. And the follow-up sets, I believe, typically come in around 140 or 150, which means that the average block ends up landing again somewhere between 500 and 560 cards by the time all is said and done. At 90 cards, this is less than a fifth of that, almost a sixth, but not quite. If this is the new normal for what we're going to see, I think it's not enough. And that's not to say that the efforts of it aren't enough, but I think we have to supplement. And so here's some suggestions I have because I think that this is cool. I'm super thrilled. I think there's a lot of balance here. I think that there was an intentional like effort by the Renewed Hope Committee to not make anything flagrantly OP or broken or push a curve, and that's really important. However, there are less characters we normally see in a set. There's less events. There's not very much actual dice removal. There are a ton of things overall that we would expect that aren't here. There's no plots. There are some gaps where they chose to be safe and conservative, and I don't fault them at all for those decisions. But it doesn't change the fact that we've triggered a rotation and we're down a lot of cards. And that means that overall, I think there's less room to be creative and really lean into new cards without being over reliant on cards from the last 3 sets. And you'll always see that in the first block of a set, but that use block was typically twice as large. I'm gonna wrap up this like soapbox soon. Sorry, but all of that to say that one thing I love is that we're not trying to sell booster packs anymore, and so they don't have to make like binder fodder. And for the most part, the set isn't. I'm looking at you, Discord, but for the most part, I don't think there's binder fodder in the set. I think it really serves niche purposes and it provides creativity, but I don't think there's enough. And so my suggestion would be there were no preprints and there were no battlefields made in the set, and there was precious little removal. I think it would be really wise to try and source 20 to 30 cards of functional reprints. We can't reprint content made by FFG, but we could make standard legal 20 to 30 cards of content previously made by FFG that has rotated out to give us some more battlefield, some more removal, and some just a little bit more variety. A few more options for people to play in. Hell, bring back the Grand Inquisitor from the old days and make him an Inquisitor. Give us a couple more things that we can do within this set. I think that would go a long way towards eking out some of the rough edges of what we don't have while acknowledging the fantastic work that they've done to give us this great stuff that we do have. I hope that criticism lands without sounding bad. I love what they've done.
Well, it's unlikely that someone won't attack you for saying anything. Um, that said, um, that so is that why we had zero? Is that why we had zero reprints? Is they didn't want to include a reprint in the set and muddy the waters?
So I can't speak for sure to that. That is my assumption. That was never communicated to me. But like if it was me, I wouldn't be claiming reprints on copyrighted created things.
Then you can
And I
do
think
kind
it makes
of.
sense.
I mean, I had a cast. I don't remember when.
Yeah, and I recall that cast, and I've been
Basically
mulling
saying
over that
that a core
concept a
set would
lot.
be of value and a core set of reprints, basically, right? So I think
Yep.
you said, and I don't know whether it's right or wrong, and I'm not going to stake anything on it because the internet, but um, you said a functional set of 20 to 30 cards. To call it a set is, well, maybe you didn't say, that's what I took it as, was functional set, but I think that's an interesting point, is to just say, hey, here's our holocron, these cards are legal.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, I think it's fair to say there were lots of cards in every set that were kind of just binder fodder and they weren't great. But I'm not convinced 50% of the new like flagship like set in a rotation was binder fodder. I think we are on the thin starved side of having a full set's worth of content. And it's not that we need that. I like what we have and I like the intentionality into it, but I really think there are some gaps that we're going to feel we're missing over time that we could address. And a short list of not reprints, but standard legal allowed cards would go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how think like let's say FFG kept going, right? Well, so I have 2 points to that. Let's say FFG kept going. We know that there was a product that won't be named that never showed up that assumedly would have been part of the 10, 11, 12 block, right? So that would have backfilled for the two-player set.
I mean, can we name it? Can we talk about it a little bit on the nose?
I mean, no, like I don't want to get in trouble. Like
Well,
it's an
I mean, we're not going to get in trouble to say that like FFG announced a set called Wild Horizons that has
oh no,
not
I
yet
was
dropped,
talking. I
right?
wasn't talking
Uh,
about that. I was talking about the Force Friday product that
oh,
didn't
the
exist that we're not allowed to talk about.
correct, yeah, yeah. The sorry, the leaked thing. Yeah, we're not going to talk
But
about
that's what
that.
I'm saying, is that would have
Uh,
backfilled for the two-player set, because I still think that the two-player set is the biggest loss of all,
yep.
without a doubt.
Yeah, and there's like staple blue removal in that, right? And again, this set on the whole just doesn't have a lot of removal. We're going to be really dependent on the removal from the last block, the convergence block. But the convergence block was also really, really themed around tribes and like either bounty hunters or whatever. And we're like we see that with spies here, but it's just not the same. It's not quite there isn't the same breadth of kind of shitty but still playable cards within affiliations. And so again, I my suspicion is like this Saturday we're all going to be on new stuff, or at least most of us, because that's fun and we want to play with it. But my suspicion is that over time we're going to feel some of the lack of things, and there's also going to be a feeling of like Inquisitors are cool, but there's one viable Inquisitor deck that uses their plot. That's not super fun. Like we're gonna have that feeling, and a way to combat or fix that or do something is just to give a little bit more options. I'm not saying it has to be a lot, but I think there's a balance where it was necessarily conservative in its design and release, but
I mean, I
and
don't. You
Wild
know
Horizon.
I'm a
Oh,
huge fan
thanks,
of
Sarah.
tribal for what it brings. in attracting new players.
Yeah, and it's not that I dislike that. I just there there's arguably three tribes, I think, in this, right? In this set. We've got spies, we've got inquisitors, and maybe that's it. Or I guess we have partisans. That's kind of a tribe. But there's not as much tribal support as any one of our existing tribes was given at launch in the
Yeah, but I
convergence
mean, I
block.
think if you look at the big beast magic, like they typically cycle on and off of their tribal, and
Yeah,
tribal can all. I mean, tribal has multiple meanings in that tribal is rogues or scoundrels, or tribal is also premades. And in this, you're right. We have functionally three premades, especially when there's a plot that comes with it. It becomes very premade. So I don't necessarily know that I would say that partisans are tribal. I think that that's just one of your premades. I mean, Raylo was a premade, right?
sure, yeah. But even the partisans, like every one of those plots, save for the Inquisitor one, has other use cases you can create for it, and that's just that. Like we've already talked about that. But yeah, I love this. I'm not at all trying to criticize this. I think, and I waited even as a playtester. I don't know for sure what's going to be a final. I don't know what's going to get cut. I don't know final versions of things. And like as I've gotten to see it now, I'm like a lot of this is awesome, and I really love the choices you made. But like we're low on plots, right? One way to avoid being low on plots by not designing new potentially broken plots is just to open up some of the backfill of plots, like Comlink Scarif, the one that lets you spot a plot to resolve a die at +1. There's a lot of plots rolling around right now. Having a battlefield for that would be good. There's just there's some things that I think there's a desire not to be overly reliant on FFG stuff from the Renewed Hope team, and I respect that. But I also wonder if there's more of a balance to strike. So whatever, I'm off my soapbox. I appreciate you letting me be on it.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I wasn't trying to argue with you as much as
Yeah,
I think your idea of, and I'm not. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn here either. In that, like, well, because I had a cast, I'm right. But I do think that the. So actually, Jay Danger, you're still on stream, right? So after I
yeah,
had that cast that came out where I was talking about having a functional core set of FFG legal cards, I know he put a lot of work in to going through the card pool, and he had sent me several spreadsheets of kind of his proposal. So J Danger, so the number I'm throwing out here is based in fact in that in any standard rotation, give or take, we had roughly 1,000-ish cards, right? So the question would be, in creating a core set, you would, if we're seeing 690, let's say we're seeing 690 to 100 card sets, you would need roughly a 400 card core set. So the question I have for J Danger is, were you able to go through and, after removing the broken and removing the worthless chaff, were you able to find 400 cards? It's an honest question. I don't know. I imagine you probably were, but did you have to be overly generous in some cases? I guess that's more the question.
and again, I'm less worried. Like that is a model, and I think that's fine. And if they went that direction, it'd be fine. But I would also be totally fine with every set we're going to make about 90 new cards, and we're going to give you about 20 to 30 rotated back through cards, and that will comprise this block. That is a way to do it. We're like, I don't know if we need to have the same 1,000. Again, there was a lot of cards available that were not necessarily worthwhile, but I do worry that we're again on the thin side
Yeah,
of
and
balanced.
I think that's valid. And to be clear, my point wasn't that we needed 1,000 cards in the rotation. My
Yeah,
point was more that if you actually go through and you remove the, I mean, this is a hot topic, right? But if you remove the Afras, right, that skewed the game, and like you wouldn't want to reprint an Afra, but you would want to reprint a Holdout Blaster. That's
right.
more what I'm saying.
I wouldn't. Correct. Yeah, I wouldn't bring Afra. I wouldn't bring Easy Pickings, but Holdout Blaster, I totally consider it. There's a lot of things that weren't broken but were nevertheless good, and you could bring those through in little batches, and it wouldn't be
Right.
a bad
So,
thing.
when that boils down to it, was our 1,000 cards really only 300 cards, 400 cards? That's more what I'm
Right.
saying, right? And it, the
Yep.
number I asked, and Jay Danger's off finding it right now, but the number that is even skewed because that core set was looking at all of the FFG cards ever made and not all of the FFG cards that were legal at any given time in standard. So it's even
Yeah,
going to
and I
reduce
was
that.
who just did that horrible Rican Jawa deck that was really creative? One of your guys
Oh
made
yeah,
that.
that's David. I don't know if he's still on or not. He's in Louisiana, so it's 2 a.m. his time.
So like that deck was awesome, but like that only happened because Rican was a terrible card until somebody found something in Infinite. And like I'm not necessarily pushing for that type of discovery, but I don't know if we have enough content to like have something spontaneously come up, 6 months from now that causes one of the characters that's currently legal to be like, oh my god, think about how good they are now. And I hope that we don't lose the magic of that because we have too limited a pool. There's something to be said for discovering old things and suddenly making them shiny again.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, but on the other hand, it becomes it becomes a lot harder to design, or
Yep,
I should say,
which is
actually, it's
why.
not even design. It's actually not true. It's really easy to design things. It's really hard to rein them in through testing.
Yep. And so again, I want to do nothing but praise and say thank you to the AA, like the committee for being so conservative in like delivering something I think is fundamentally balanced and well executed. I just don't want their conservatism to also equate to a lack of good viable things. And that there's probably room for a bit more. So again, I'm just repeating myself now. I'm sorry. We've been at this a while, but uh, I think I've said my piece, and hopefully it was heard well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you have a valid. I actually kind of like your proposal of main, if for nothing else, like there's a lot of we saw it on the Facebook pages, unfortunately today, right? That when this finally dropped, there was a lot of people who were very offended that someone's messing with their printed card world.
Yep.
No, never mind the fact that no one's going to play with those printed cards in a month, right? They're completely short-sighted, but they're very pissed off. So what I was kind of thinking is that by making certain cards legal, we might basically be giving an olive branch to those individuals. Now, after
Yeah,
today's
and so that
stuff, the argument is certainly to be made that no, olive branch is like we shouldn't give them one. But
right. And I will fully admit I was in the camp of like I don't want to see reprints, I don't want to see redone die. I really want to let the past die, burn it if you have to. Like your stuff in your binder never stops being playable to you at home, but that doesn't mean it has to dictate design space moving forward. And I still maintain that by and large, I think that mentality is helpful, but I am willing to concede some amount of carefully curated content from the old sets could be well used even now and give a not total middle ground because I don't agree with the extreme opinions on the other side of the aisle from me, but I think that there's a little bit of room for some stuff.
no, I agree. But what we've seen is a more and more slide, and I grant you that only a few individuals can make it that way. But we've seen a more and more toxic slide on
Yep.
that. And at this point, like I don't know that you. Well, anyway, we're getting off
No,
topic, and
I'm with you. I'm with you.
it's just like you know we're trying to give an olive branch, and the other people want to they
Well,
want the
and it's
world or
like
nothing,
I
right? So
I pretty publicly shit all over transformations because I didn't like what it represented, but like it's here to stay. And like there are things about it now that like if it's in standard, we're gonna play with it. And so like, I and people like me need to deal. And I am. I'm dealing and I'm finding ways to like find cards I like and not push stuff that I think is too much and whatever. And like to that end, uh, by necessity, the continuing committee of this game and the players of this game will have to accept the idea that the tent always needs to be a little bit bigger than what they want, and that goes for me. Like the tent has to be bigger than what I thought we should be limited to, and I think if we all agree to that, we'll end up with a slightly bigger space and more people to play with, which is good.
that was very diplomatically said.
Well, what can I say?
Yeah, it's like you're a manager or something.
I'm not, but one day maybe we'll see.
All right, so J Danger did get back to us. He's saying, yeah, it was about 200 cards per block.
And it was just with the awakening block, so I'm sure we could find 200 to 300 potentially viable cards from the Awakenings and Legacies block to dole out into like 30-ish card chunks.
Yeah, but so I mean, let's just use that number just because it's easy and we're here and we have it. So if you were to say that there's roughly 200 cards per block, that would put us at 600 cards, which is actually like right on the nose of what my estimate was,
Yep.
right? So because then you have, I mean, so we'd actually be slightly above. We'd be at like 1200 ish with 690s.
Yeah, and if we went with the other side with it and we just said, look, we're going to take our existing like 300-ish from three new 90 card sets and add, 150 to that pool, we'll be closer to what we used to have, but hopefully cutting out some of the chaff.
Yeah, and again, I'm not. I actually don't think that. I think your suggestion's better. That they should almost do it on a by set basis and say these reprints are legal with set 11. These reprints are legal parallel with set 12, whatever, right? Good night, Raven. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us, man.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's the easiest way because like the problem would have been if they wanted to like reprint 100 cards at the top of the set, it'd be like 50% old stuff and all their new stuff wouldn't even get to shine. And I think it should shine. I just think that there's a way to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, but it's a fair point though with the not putting the reprint in the set. I hadn't really considered that. That's a good point. So, all right, at this point, we will open the floor. We'll cede the floor to the stream. What do we have? We have 24 peeps. Man, 24 people's listening to Wyatt drone on. uh, so, what do y'all? It's an A. We'll turn it over to AMA. Ask me anything. AWA. Ask Wyatt anything that he can answer. Because as a playtester, I'm sure he knows things that he can't say. But there'll be a little bit of dead space here with the delay, but
All right.
because it was a lot of
Dengar
trash that never saw
saying
play.
there was a
Yeah.
lot of trash.
Oh,
Never
he's
saw
still on
play.
the
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean I think that 200. I mean I think that makes sense, J Danger, right? Like I mean I'd said earlier my estimate was around 600, and you said it was roughly 200 ish per block, and I'm sure it changes by block.
All right. I also want to take a second to fight with Jay Dinger about this whole idea that they hate Renewed Hope, like hates Blue Hero. I think Blue Hero is actually getting a lot of love. I think Cyphodius is solid. I think Repulse is crazy solid. I think that on the whole, Blue Hero has gotten far more love, like distinct acts of love in this set than we saw in the last year. So give them a little bit of kudos.
Well,
Cal's fun.
the
Like it's
rumor
not
we
as wide,
heard,
but it's more deep.
the rumor we heard from a playtester to a non-playtester, so it's like a game of telephone, right? But the rumor we heard was that the reason, and I wonder if this doesn't happen every time, the reason Blue Hero sucks in this set is because Blue Hero started out hashtag amazeballs and then had to get nerfed down. And I wonder if that hasn't been a
Yeah.
problem perpetually through Destiny. But I
It
don't know.
could be. I mean, I'm super super happy that we don't see a pure reliance on shield based bullshit for Blue Hero, and they actually get to do some good things. Like they get damage, they get to be aggressively viable at the same time they're doing a step to their own identity.
So, Kevin Pooley says, but Zach says, any Jawa damage decks. I mean, technically, you can make a Jawa damage deck now. It's just not good.
Yeah, I think Jawa's shine and mill, and that mill's really hard to pull off these days with what rotated.
It says Raylo and Mill are the reason Blue Hero's getting balls in the face. I mean, Raylo.
I think
Raylo was FFG's capstone deck. It was like they will never design a deck better than Raylo, right? And
yeah,
by
yeah,
better, I don't mean like droids. What I mean is like nobody hated Raylo. Well, I'm sure somebody did, but like on the whole, Raylo was fairly cheating. They cheated fairly. They were well designed, best flavor. They nailed it. I mean, they nailed Raylo. That was their best
yep.
design, right?
And I loved it. I mean, Raylo, I would joke was my forever deck, and I brought it to Vegas and did really well. I love that deck. It's one of my favorite things that's ever existed in this game. And like to be honest, I think Raylo takes a back step here. It still is good. We've already talked. It's lost R2, it's lost Dank Council, it's lost a lot of tricks. It hasn't lost everything, it still gets Nemons, it's lost Ataru. There's a lot of changes that affect it, and I'm not sure it's now the clear blue deck to play. And even if it is, it will be a more fair, at least for now, blue deck to play than it was in the past because there's some other options. And again, like Force Repulse is really cool. It punches the hell out of Raylo, and it can't be played by them. So like Raylo continues to get to be special without being the only viable option, and I'm very pleased with that as somebody that plays them a lot but wanted them to not be the only option. Yeah, they turned 93 into 90, and I'm pretty sure we can say one of those three. Somebody says you might be muted, Andrew. You might double check
Oh,
that.
I am totally muted. So,
Ah,
okay, at what point did I mute? So, all right, let's restart. So, Bassmaster says, to be fair, not getting Jaro but only his lightsaber feels a bit weird. Um, well, you cut in at some point, right? So, anyway,
yeah. I mean, we've established is of 93 cards, they cut to 90. Probably Jaro is one of the three.
right,
It's pretty safe to
perfect.
assume. Why Discord wasn't one of the three, I'll never be able to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, that's whatever. Uh, all right, a whole bunch of Andrews muted. We all make mistakes. All right. Trevor
Uh,
Barrick, do you know how many sets will be in each block going forward? I assume three still.
Yeah, I think it is safe to assume the plan is three. Again, I can't convey how much Wild Horizons is hard to plan around because if FFG drops it, it will likely be incorporated as standard legal, right? Like that just makes sense.
It has to be.
And then this conversation we're talking about of like 180 cards, like it will provide hopefully that many, right? Like so they had to build a set that in no way relied on it coming out while acknowledging that if it came out, they could all play nice together. And so, in some respects, I almost wonder if the 90 cards is less because they assumed Wild Horizons would be out by now when they started planning it, right? So, like, it's
They had to.
Wild.
They had to.
Correct. So, Wild Horizons' existence or non existence and FFG's reluctance to just say, look, here's the card files, fam. Sorry, we don't care about you anymore. Be free and enjoy this thing that you love. Like, I'm pretty bummed they haven't done that because here we are in a world where it would be better for us to know and not live in Schrodinger's maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so I feel like a advertisement for myself. Like, I had a cast on that, but like I did, and how do I say this diplomatic? Screw it. I don't care if it's diplomatic or not. They don't legally owe us anything because if we collectively, like, let's say in Magical Fairyland we sue them, right, for not having released Wild Horizons, which they do owe us, kind of, because they promised us it was coming, and
Yeah, because they told us they were going to,
yeah,
which was weird. They shouldn't have, but here we are.
one can very easily make the argument that by telling us when they did, they were trying to boost sales of their set, which means that they're legally obligated. Now, will that hold up in court? Of course not, especially because they'll just say, well, COVID and life is hard and life is done,
Totally.
right? And
No, I'm with you.
but
Like
what
announcing,
they do owe
yep.
us, morally and maybe even legally, is a press release saying something. At a minimum, they fucking owe us that. And yes, I just dropped the F bomb on my stream, breaking my own rules. Like, the fact that we
I'm with
have
you.
nothing from them is completely effing unacceptable.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you, and it's a shame because it means that, like, again, everyone from OP to continuing committee to any plans for the future remain bound in this. Maybe it will happen, so we can't assume it's not, and maybe it will never, and so we can't design as if it is or isn't. And it's really difficult. Like, I would be singing the praises of this team for releasing this set today just in general, because it's hard to do, because they had to organize people and because they made something that I think is good and that is fair. But I want to give them extra kudos for doing it around the legal ambiguity and technical ambiguity and difficulty of an unreleased set. What a crazy effort to do.
Yeah, and I think I saw you might have been in the conversation earlier, and I don't remember whether it was the Facebook hellhole or whether it was Discord. People saying, "Well, I think it's unacceptable that there's no big characters in this set." And I think that the answer there, and I think you were part of that conversation, right? And basically saying like they were clearly there's no big characters in this set because like they have to be budgeting for Wild Horizons. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
B, well, I mean obviously we
Oh,
got a
sure. By
BD.
big character, you don't mean like a big little. You mean like no Luke's, no Leia's, no whatever. Yeah, and
Right,
like
right, right.
I will come out and say it as somebody who's never signed an NDA to anything. Uh, Wild Horizons has characters from Star Wars that you would expect to see in a flagship release of a Star Wars product, and that very much affects the design space for anyone who's familiar with what's in Wild Horizons and doesn't want to step on toes. And the assumption that it could have come out in the time they were waiting from designing this to releasing it makes a ton of sense. Why there's cards where you're like, how could this not be in a Star Wars release? And it's like, well, take a guess.
Yeah, I mean I thought that question was a little unfair, however valid. Um, so all right, let's catch up. So Kevin Pooley says I did the art in quotes edits. Any feedback? Oh, really? So Kevin Pooley's the art man. Any feedback going forward you'd like to see if I'm able to stay on the team? Well, I would say you're not going to get fired because I think you did a damn good job.
I was gonna say Kevin, and I know there was a few of you that did it really well done work. Like on the whole, it looks great. I think like Faltering Allegiances, like the art on that one specifically, with like poor Cassian's nose. But like on the whole, I think it's awesome. I'm really really pleased with this set. I think you guys struck a fantastic balance.
What works and what doesn't from your perspective? I mean, and I think from my perspective, I think you're up against a wall because I think a lot of the more beautiful cards were from the video game, which probably puts you at a supreme disadvantage. That statement puts you at a disadvantage going forward, right? But like you look at Cal's lightsaber, like that one looks awesome to me. So I think you're at a disadvantage there. I honestly think you guys did a good
Yeah,
job. I don't, especially if you look at where you
it's
started and where you ended with. I mean, I just think it's fantastic.
totally like if I look at Cal Kestis, like I think it's awesome that someone donated art. In the time between when they did that and when cards were created, obviously a lot of in-game assets were used to create the art. And so I think it's a little weird that Cal is like the flagship character is a hand-drawn piece and not a game art piece just from a consistency perspective. But there's no criticism there. It's just like an observation. I think that it's awesome that we got some custom stuff from people. It's really cool that people donated and like it makes sense where everything landed. And like I, like everyone else, hopes that we never get a cease and desist and we can continue doing this until we're all bored of the game or dead.
Yeah, and I mean the Cal thing, they had to make him. Well, I mean they didn't have to, but I think making Cal the flagship was really smart because we want donated art. I mean we do. Like that's the future of this game. Like that even lowers the target on everybody's back, right? So keep it
Yep.
going. Um, all art, yeah, all art. Keep up the good work. Jay Danger said there's big characters in this set. Fallen Order sent like gangbusters. Yeah, but
Yeah.
how many game? I mean, I don't know what we need to do. If you could take all the video gamers and turn them into this game, we wouldn't have gotten canceled. So,
Well, but I mean, a good point there. And again, going back to this whole issue of Wild Horizons, like Fallen Order came out after Wild Horizons, and consequently, it was a safe space to design from. So, of course, there's a lot of design space there because they knew it was okay.
good points. And then, wait, I saw a good one. All right, so Trevor asks if, oh god, this is a hotbed. If FFG never delivers a finished WH product, do you think it will leak and become part of ARH standard? If I'm gonna field this one. So if
I could.
if well, I mean, you're welcome to chime in, but this is a tough one because if FFG never delivers Wild Horizons and never says anything about it, we will never get a leak. If FFG, I don't think we'll get a leak because people will still be wishing and hoping and praying that it's going to come one day. if FFG does which is probably why we don't have a press release, but if FFG comes out and says Wild Horizons is canceled, screw you guys, it'll be up on Reddit in like 15 freaking minutes, right?
Yeah.
But
So
all these guys are
so this
under, well, a large, I don't know, well, Wyatt just said he's not, but a large number of these guys are under NDAs because they were playtesters for FFG, and they can't legally do anything, so they're not going to associate themselves. So the TLDR of my answer is no.
yeah, we don't advocate people breaking NDA or product leaking. We're not here like, and I think Andrew and I can both say that. Like, we would never be like, hey, it'd be great if somebody did something illegal. What do I think is going to happen? Somebody leaked illegal product already. That happened. The two-player set was leaked, and it was leaked after transformations came out and shared like what was shown in the leak, the same subtype information. So like that's a pretty strong indicator that like FFG was not going to move forward with the two-player set, and consequently somebody somewhere who had access to it, who knows if they were under NDA or not, put it up on the internet. And so like it is my suspicion, kind of like what you just said, if Wild Horizons is confirmed by FFG to never be coming, I would be pretty shocked if whoever did it last time didn't do it again. But I think there's a lot of community and legal and various reasons why it would be way better if FFG did release it. And like, here's the deal: they made it. They had assets in the form of created content. Who knows if they had art or other things, but they had the designs.
No,
I'm
it's
sure
it's
they had
done,
that.
man. They were gonna print the set. It's done. Like it's ready to go. It,
Right.
it may even.
So
I still think that it exists in physical form, and that's why they haven't given us a no yet. But I don't know.
and so if that's true, then hell with it. It's COVID. Do everyone a solid and just release the files, and then be like, one day this will be physically exist if you want it, and someone somewhere will still buy it because that's who we are. I would still shell out $250 for a full playset of a dead game because I want it.
Yep,
Like,
I agree.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I can't believe they're not Kickstartering it or eBaying it
And
or whatever.
And
Right?
if they dropped it, it would be so freeing because then the continuing committee could no longer have to be agnostic. They could design within the constraints of Wild Horizons. And I think whether or not people love everything about Wild Horizons, it would do a lot of good to no longer have this again be this weird hanging Schrodinger's thing.
Yeah. I do you want to know my crazy theory?
Hmm.
And I actually was. This is not a secret. I was joking with Agent. Joking with Agent Zion about it. I texted him. I was like, you know what's really going to happen, because everyone's always afraid of this whole project getting shut down, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing in the room. I said, you know what FFG is going to do? They're going to release the set 11 files on the morning of the 16th and just undermine the shit out of you guys.
I mean, it would be so
Wouldn't
funny.
that have been like the ultimate troll move?
Yeah. Yeah. It would be so funny if that happened.
It's not
No, and
going
I
to
mean, like,
happen,
and
but
again, it's really easy to criticize FFG for stuff, and like, there's good reasons to criticize a lot of the choices that were made along the way. But like, I fundamentally think that Jeremy and like before him Lucas and like the designers of the game cared about the game. They were making a product that they wanted to succeed, and it sucks that various other things caused it to not succeed, or like were chosen and decided as the factors why it wouldn't. But like, those people, I'm sure, still want the fun game that they put together and like chopped and made into a playable thing to be played by the people that loved it. Like, no creator wants their art to remain unseen. And so I'm sure, insofar as there's a human component desiring for this to exist, it still is being advocated for, but who knows how messy that is behind closed doors and with contracts and with COVID and with everything else.
yeah, I mean, I throughout time when people have been angry at FFG, they're not angry at any individual that works at FFG, except maybe the
Right.
CEO. They're angry at the organization itself, right? Um,
Yep.
I mean, that's just a fact. So
And no
when
one
we
wants to
say
spend
FFG
hundreds of
sucks, we're
dollars on
not saying
something that we
Jeremy
hope
sucks.
will live only for it to not officially live. And I'm so thrilled that, again, there's a group of players that are taking it upon themselves to try. Like, I will I will have my own criticisms of certain decisions made while still like gladly dying on the hill of this committee should exist, and I'm glad that this was created.
So Johnny Danger says, I still say Destiny was an accidental success and was sacrificed on the altar for keywords. Yeah, well, of course, that was their business. I mean, that's their business model, and they
It
dropped
wasn't just Keyforge, just whatever the next hot thing is.
right,
That's what FFG
and
does.
they
Make a
dropped
cool thing,
Keyforge for
release
Marvel
it, drop it
Champions, and
fast.
they'll drop
Yep,
Marvel Champion. I'm sorry, buddy, but they're gonna drop Marvel Champions for probably the next Star Wars CCG, like or TCG or whatever. Like,
whatever comes
yeah.
next.
So I don't know. All right, do we have any other questions on the stream? Are we getting out of here? It's been how long have we been casting for? Like 3 hours, right?
Yeah, a little over 3 hours. My poor wife. She's, I'm sure, gone to bed and been like, to hell with him.
Well, I'm hoping she went to bed. It's after midnight.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Well, we'll give it one more minute and then we'll get the hell out of here. Marvel champs forever. I mean, yeah.
Everyone is a dream to believe in. Mine used to be Destiny, and now I don't have
The
dreams.
Marvel Champions Continuing Committee will be in touch in 2 years. Probably longer than that, but
All right, I think we're good.
yep.
Hey, I really appreciate you letting me come on the show. For anyone who didn't know, we used to be Dice of Failure, and we're probably still Dice of Failure. We just haven't been active. But James and I will be out on Saturday playing the team deck insofar as we think we've landed on what we believe to be fun. And we are looking forward a lot to playing Destiny again for fun and for glory.
Yeah, sounds good. And then I do just want to remind all, what are we at? 22? Just remind all 22 people on stream that please go check out the Dice Command. We have a tournament coming on not this Sunday, but the next Sunday, which is the 25th. It is, in fact,
Yep.
the 25th is the Dice Commando tournament. So this is our normal bi-weekly member tournament, except it's not our member tournament. It is open to everyone and anyone who wants to join in and roll some dice. So please come join us for that. Just get a link to the TTT and the Discord, of course, which is where we'll be running it, and you can find that in a quick YouTube search of an info video, which I did not even run ads on, or at least I don't think I did, because I wanted people to come join us. So please
Yep.
do that as well and come join us. So
And if by some miracle the 20 people watching right now don't know that there is a free tournament this Saturday, there is. Every card you just saw is now part of the new standard legal. If you go to swdestinydb.com, you can create decks in the new standard format. It's all available. It's importable into TTS, and there will be a online tournament. I think they're hoping for upwards of 100 people, and last I heard they were over 80 signed up. So, if you want to play Destiny again for fun, even if you're bad, I think I'll be bad. Show up. It'll be a good time on Saturday.
yeah, well, I did hear 6 of those entrants were platforms ex-wives, but no, we're shooting for. So, and then Zach, you said it's 4 a.m. over there. Yeah, I mean, we can't do everything globally. So what we've found, or what I found, is that 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. my time works best for everyone because that's early afternoon, or it doesn't work best for everyone, but it works best for the majority of the population. Because if I made it earlier, then it's earlier for you, but then it's too early for the U.S. So I know
Look,
you.
on the one hand, we don't want to disappoint Australia. On the other hand, Australia hasn't given me a Mad Max movie in a really long time, so I guess it's mutual.
The Aussies and the Kiwis kind of get the shaft on the time of day thing. It's just kind of the way it works with your location on the globe. But everything's upside down and goes the wrong way down the toilet for you guys anyway, right? So, um, so, all right. Well, Wyatt, thank you very much for chatting our ears off this evening and joining me. And I don't know, if nothing else, guys, go Commando.
I already am.